Welcome, everybody, back to the Gym Leader Chat Lounge podcast, a very special episode. And I am joined, as always, by John Patterson.
What's up, guys?
Anthony Saya.
What's going on, everybody?
And our very special guest, Andrew Mahone. Andrew, how are you?
I'm chilling. How's the gang doing? I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we're doing great. So excited to have you on. I know we've been waiting for the perfect opportunity to invite you on. We wanted to make it something a little more special than just, hey, Andrew, what do you think of Full Grip League this week? So we have a big episode planned. The 5th anniversary of GLC is this month, which is crazy to think about. And kind of like a retrospective celebration type of episode featuring Andrew, we are going to talk about the top 10 Gym Leader Challenge decks of all time. We're going to do a countdown. We're going to go through our picks, and we'll see if your favorite deck got snubbed or if you were correct in your predictions. Anyways, it's going to be a lot of fun. And before we get started on that, England and Mexico is playing right now, and I just have to comment on it because it's going crazy. England just got a red card. They were up 2-1. Then they got a penalty kick right after. It's 3-1. And I kind of wish I was watching that game right now instead of recording this. So
as we're speaking right now, there's currently a VAR going on for a penalty in the box. So
if you see Tony's eyes dart off screen, it's because he's watching the game.
If I look this way, then it's the game is taking my full attention.
It's 3-1, dude. It's Jover, dude. It's
dude.
Jover.
You can't rule out Mexico. They're playing in Mexico City. Come on,
England.
That's pretty hype. That's pretty hype.
I believe in Mexico, but it does seem kind of over, I gotta say.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but the World Cup has been super fun to watch. I've watched, I don't know, probably more games than I've ever watched for a World Cup. Just being someone working at home right now and having the ability to, but it's been such a fun tournament. I don't know. Andrew, how have you felt watching and stuff?
Yeah, it's been a ton of fun. My parents have moved into town recently, and my dad's a big soccer fan because he played college ball for University of Maryland on a scholarship there during his college years. So, and he's still super dialed into soccer. I played soccer my whole life until I switched over to track and field. So it's been fun. It's been fun getting to watch games with my dad, getting to watch games with friends, getting to watch games with my son. He knows how to say go, so we do that. He's almost 2.
That's awesome. That's
and
awesome.
we got him his own little soccer ball and his own little net, and we're working on his ball skills. It's never too young to start. So
never, yeah. My dad had me doing kickers. That's what we called them. He would sit on the couch, and we'd all stand in front of him, me and my brothers, in a rotating line, and we'd just run up to him. He'd toss us the ball, and we'd do a little volley back to him. We'd do that probably every night for a long time. So
I was working on my juggling again on the 4th, man, because my parents got a nice backyard.
Yeah.
I don't have a great backyard here for activities, but my parents' new house has got a great yard. So I was working on my juggling. Man, soccer is exhausting. It's been a minute. What an exhausting activity. And I ran 10 miles today. I can run, but juggling the ball, the calisthenics required, knees up, knees down, all that, man.
A little bit more technical than just going out and running.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, having to balance on one leg specifically to juggle. Because you're always got one leg activated and one leg planted, and oh my god, my freaking glutes, dude.
Yeah, no, it's so exhausting. And John, I mean, a bunch of us met up and watched the USA game this past week. John, you came, but I know you're not a lifelong soccer watcher. How much soccer had you watched before this?
Occasionally, my father-in-law's big into soccer, so I'll see a game when it's on when he's watching it. But this was my first time sitting down and watching a game of soccer, and it was an experience. I was like asking so many questions. The timer was like blowing my mind. I was like, wait, we sat down. I'm like, why is it counting up? What is going on here? And then continually, I learned throughout the game that the timer is just an absolute lie, and it's just whatever the vibes of the referee says is how much left in the game. That's how much is left in the game. So I was just like, it was a trip, kind of getting used to it versus watching like primarily American sports.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a lot of fun, and U.S. plays again tomorrow to get into quarterfinal. That's where it's all going to go down. I'm super excited for that. But we can transition now. We can get going. Okay, let's do a quick. I got a couple questions for you, Andrew, in honor of the GLC 5th anniversary. I just want to get your thoughts on. I mean, as the 5th anniversary approaches, and you as the format's creator, it has lasted this long. It's lasted 5 years. I mean, has it exceeded your expectations in the past few years?
I feel like when that moment of kind of realization that, hey, this format's really fun to play, that we had 5 years ago online. I mean, within like 48 hours of me streaming just fun games with my audience of like playing the format, I was like, oh my God, we got to name it and we got to make a website because like this is a thing, like, and it's going to be fun. So almost like I almost came into within 48 hours, like literally it was like kind of just spawned. And I was like, this is going to be, I was confident in it because it was so much fun. So, uh, I guess like I did expect it to be contagious because the fun that I was having, I felt like a testament to what could happen with it. Now I think that what has surprised me in the last 5 years is the staying power of the format without the Pokemon trading card game online, because the Pokemon trading card game online was a big enabler for people to enter the format, get into it, and play without any overhead costs and without needing to have a local league. So now it's in this kind of era of its existence where it is very dependent on the local Gym Leader Challenge League. And that has almost encouraged more and more leagues to like pop up, because there are a lot of Gym Leader Challenge leagues that exist now. And getting to see people talk about their local leagues and their local metas is really exciting and rewarding for me. And I think that is something that kind of exceeded my expectations. Like I expected the format to kind of be popular and be interesting because I could see that like right away. But like leagues being dedicated to playing Gym Leader Challenge was not something that I expected. And the fact that that is something that's continued to grow has been really awesome to see.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember even early days of GLC, like it took a while for us to even start a league at Full Grip, like
Because
where,
I was nervous.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I wonder if it's worth dedicating a day of the week to, like how many people would
Will
actually
people
show
show up?
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been so successful. I mean, it depends on the off season for standard, but there's so many times we get more players for GLC than standard, which is like crazy exciting.
I can confidently say that GLC nights over the past like month or two have consistently had more players than standard.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like 2 or 3. I'm talking like probably 7 or 8. A decent margin.
Yeah. No, it's been so fun. And I mean, I'm curious I would love to see, this is impossible data to get, but the breakdown of how many GLC players, like regular GLC players today, were never around when it was on PTCGO. Like how has the format grown? Like what are the number of players we've reached post PTCGO who's never even watched you playing it on PTCGO? I assume that number probably far outweighs the number of people that were playing it beforehand, just as things have kind of like shot up. Maybe not. But for the people, for like some of the audience that was not around during those early days, and maybe hasn't heard, why why did you create it? Just a very quick 2 sentence, couple, paragraph, however much you want to say. What was the inspiration? And, just, yeah, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, it was just a combination of COVID-19. Like we're talking a year into COVID.
July 2021.
No, no premiere events, and I had been going live 5 days a week to stream the Pokemon trading card game online. Right, like boredom is setting in significantly. Right at this point, and the community was very online. I mean, like those were some of my biggest years streaming because everybody was just kind of out of whatever their normal element was, hanging out on the internet, building internet friendships, figuring out fun things to do on the internet. That was like the norm for those years, right? So Gym Leader Challenge kind of spawned out of that. And I for part of the Players Cup, I was a caster for the Players Cup, which is like a tournament that was hosted by the Pokemon Company International, an online tournament using the Pokemon trading card game online. And they had me and another caster do like a monotype expanded battle. And I thought that was kind of fun. And so like that kind of got me brewing in my head. Well, I was like, well, that was like almost fun. But then like what so like, what if we like dialed that up even further? And that's kind of like how Gym Leader Challenge started.
Yeah. Excellent. And I would love to know, like, as we approach the next 5 years of GLC, where do you kind of expect it to be in another 5 years? Coming up on the 10th anniversary. And not only where do you expect it to be, but maybe what are some of your hopes for it in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I have just I guess as a person, um, and as a content creator, I do just have like very lofty expectations, and I know that like kind of like the shoot for the stars, land on the moon type thing, right? I I mean, like I'm a Pokemon ambassador, right? So like I kind of have an avenue to give feedback to the Pokemon Company International, which has been really nice in the last year or so since they launched the ambassador program, and I've been giving them feedback on kind of what I think would be excellent for the Gym Leader Challenge and for the Pokemon community at large. I think that there's a few things. Bullet point number one, I think that the expanded card pool needs to be fully playable on the Pokemon Trading Card Game Live, so that the format can exist on the Pokemon Trading Card Game Live. I think that the the thing that they're doing where they have like the kind of trainer challenges where you can play like a kind of truncated version of Gym Leader Challenge for a month or two at a time. I think that's like kind of neat. They should just make Gym Leader Challenge a game mode on the Pokemon Trading Card Game Live that you could queue into anytime. So that's like expectation number one. Expectation number two, I think that they should fully support Gym Leader Challenge leagues internationally. So like I think that Gym Leader Challenge should have its own league materials. I think that the league cards that we create at Full Grip should be an officially adopted thing that they send out. I think that they should support it with like prizes, things like that, and encourage leagues around the world to do this. What we do on a grassroots level, I think that the Pokemon Company should basically steal my homework and just do it, right?
Imagine a
And
GLC prize pack.
yes,
That would be so
next
sick.
bullet point. Next bullet point. There should be expanded reprints, Gym Leader Challenge prize packs. And as we get further and further into the game's future, I think that reprinting expanded staples is essential to the longevity of the game so that you're not just limited to the most recent cards that have ever been printed, but that fans of the franchise and of the game can enjoy the game's rich history as well. Magic the Gathering does this. They come out with like master sets and things like that that have reprints. The Pokemon Company Japan hosts a yearly expanded tournament, and they also support those with expanded promos that they print and release every year. The Pokemon Company International needs to boss up and also do it. I understand that there are logistical reasons why they don't. I don't really care though. Okay, so that's the thing, is like I understand that there are reasons, but I don't care that there are reasons, because I think that they just need to figure it out. So that's it. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna sound like kind of like a a little bit of a pretentious jerk in some ways, but like also like I don't know, I'm just a fan, and I think this is the way it should be done. It's the way I see it. Like, and all I can deal with is the information that we get from the Pokemon Company, which is almost zero. So like I'm gonna be stern about my takes on these things. And then the last thing that I think that they need to do, and this again, my goals, my aspirations, very lofty, but I think that they should host a yearly special event in Gym Leader Challenge format. So not like a regional, but a special event.
Dang.
And I think it should be an official yearly special event that's broadcast, and produced like they produced all their other events. And it doesn't have to have a monetary prize. Special events don't, but that it would have like some sort of trophies for, top four finishers or whatever. And that's really, and it would be produced to advertise for the format and advertise for leagues, that run the format around the world. So that's my list. I have given those suggestions directly to the Pokemon Company. We'll see, right?
We'll meet back up in 5 years and see how it's going.
We'll see. But that I think that would be fantastic for the format. I don't think that there should ever be regionals, championship point awarding regionals in Gym Leader Challenge, and I think the special event doesn't have to award championship points either. It would be a special event in that it is just maybe it has different kinds of prizing, right? And it's produced as more kind of like a fan appreciation tournament.
Yeah. I mean, now we have this perfect 2-month off season without championship points. What are they doing?
That's true.
Exactly. Yeah, you're saying kind of lofty aspirations here, but like it also on the other end sounds like kind of reasonable direction for the company to head in. Like this is a format that the community wants supported, and they can maybe make some money off it.
One can only hope.
Gym Leader Challenge might not be like a money driver for the Pokemon Company International. So like I get it. Like if they never ever do anything else for Gym Leader Challenge, never promote it, never support it, like I get it. Like I understand why you wouldn't, but also you have a lot of fans of the trading card game that are going to get more invested into your trading card game if they can appreciate the game's current standard format and also the game's history. You're just creating more investment from fans in the franchise altogether. So I think it's like kind of a long-term investment, as Commander is with Magic the Gathering. I mean, like having these multiple formats, a proven formula for successful trading card games. So
absolutely.
I think something that I have thought about a little bit is like how insanely marketable just the idea of GLC sounds. It's like feels like a very enticing way to get somebody how to learn the game. You can to boil it down to the simplest form is you just get to try to be a gym leader. Pick a type, pick whatever your favorite type is, and try to build the best deck with it, which is what Pokemon is at its core, the video games.
Yeah. Enough said right there. Yeah, no.
Come on, TPCI.
We're all spitting here. The SPE event is a new one. I haven't heard that. Everything else I've heard from you, I've not heard the SPE event. So I like that. That would be sick.
Because ultimately they need to advertise their leagues. I think they should support the leagues, and then they should advertise it with a yearly SPE. Japan does a yearly expanded event.
Yeah.
We should do a yearly Gym Leader Challenge event.
Why do they do that?
As a fan appreciate, literally for the fans.
Yeah,
that's
there's
sick.
people
to keep
that
the culture alive. That's literally why they do it.
That's beast. All right, my final kind of question around this is, before we get in the top 10 list, is just give me a couple, 1 to 3 favorite memories or specific moments in or around the GLC community that you can think of for you.
Certainly, the first ever Gym Leader Challenge cash events that we held at Full Grip Games. I mean, those were crazy times. We like gutted the warehouse, which was at the time like upstairs in like an old abandoned kind of like space that like was formerly a bowling alley and then also formerly a dance club. Yeah, so it was like kind of crusty, and my studio was kind of crusty, and everything was a little jank. But the fact that people like traveled out for those events and that we got to watch some really great games of Pokemon and like watching the format unfold, I'll always remember those original events. They were really special. So certainly those. And then watching our Gym Leader Challenge League kind of grow over the last few years. All the friends that I've made through the local league has been really special as well. And and watching our local league grow to a league that now is like regularly getting 5 rounds every Thursday night, over 20 players on most nights is like crazy.
Mhm.
That's been something that's been really special for me. And then also getting to go to Japan and watch them do a Gym Leader Challenge side event at the 2023 Yokohama World Championships, and then getting to meet Japanese players who are fans of Gym Leader Challenge. That was like really special as well.
Yeah. No. All good stuff. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. And without further ado, why don't we jump into our top 10 GLC decks of all time? And this is objective, okay? It's not an opinion, all right? So keep that in mind when you're commenting, that we are correct, okay? We considered every single deck that's ever been created, so spent hundreds of hours on Cardboard Warriors community decks page, played thousands of games against other decks within the last week. Yep, we tested every single deck. No.
Pure facts and logic.
My fingers are bleeding from shuffling cards. So
Yeah,
this is all
we
that-
ran the numbers. All the numbers, every single scenario has been ran.
That's right.
This is it.
You guys can't see it, but off screen I have a chalkboard with formulas you can't even fathom on it.
Right.
You know those bots that they're creating right now, like the competition? Yeah, we already had that for GLC like months ago. Yeah. The AI is working hard.
Yeah.
No, okay, so yeah, keep that in mind. This is just our opinion, all right? Sorry if your favorite deck wasn't picked, but I'm not actually sorry. And we're going to do a countdown to number 1, okay? So, starting it off with number 10, we have, drum roll, Amazing Raikou, specifically from
Bro.
July 2021 to September 2024, when it was finally banned in the 10 spot. Initial
I
impressions.
didn't know it was going to animate, dude.
Oh yeah.
Holy
I
crap.
know, I wasn't
Dude,
ready
this
for
Yeah,
guy
that
went
was
to PowerPoint
slick.
school.
I was I was on this Google Slides for probably 8 hours today. So
I knew what was coming, and it had
Yeah.
me like on the edge of my seat.
Ben is our resident graphic designer. He knows how to do everything.
Holy crap. man.
little preview, you get a little type symbol in there, and you're like, oh.
I knew what the 10th
No.
spot was, but I was like on the edge of my chair. and Why wasn't it coming
Yeah,
up? I was
exactly.
like,
Dude, my nips perked up when the lightning symbol, showed.
Yeah, all right. I mean, so let's
Yeah,
go
that's
over a
sick.
little bit of the deck we're talking about, okay? This is Amazing Raikou. If you don't know, it's banned from Gym Leader Challenge. Has the amazing shot attack, 120 damage to the active, 120 damage to the bench. Very similar to the new Deoxys we recently got, although this was printed before GLC was created, so has been around since the format's creation, and eventually got the boot in September of 2024. It has 3 Full Grip Games release event top 8 placements, a second place at the Evolving Skies event from JW Krewall, a 5th place at the same one from Michael Zeely, and a third place finish from Astral Radiance 1K from Ethan Heggie, who is also a Pokemon commentator nowadays, if you aren't familiar with the name. So a lot of great players there running that deck. And yeah, I mean, who wants to open the floor with why it made the list at all, and maybe why it's on the lower end of the list? Anybody have any thoughts?
But yeah, it's a deck that was, I mean, it's been there July 2021 since the beginning. Raikou has existed. It's been a presence in the format. Obviously, the ability to take two prizes in one turn, taking out two Pokemon in one turn, incredibly powerful. It never, you see these finishes here: second place, fifth place, to third place. That was really all that had, before events stopped. It's like this deck persisted past, these accolades that we've listed here. But it's undeniably, a strong, powerful attack. The deck synergized around it. You had acceleration with the Dynamotors, the ability to just launch these attacks with the counter energy after a prize goes down. Yeah, I got a great example of one of those deck lists here, Ethan Heggie's deck list. You just see some of the Pokemon surrounding this with the spread with the Regieleki, like a lot of things we still see today that are still tried and true in Lightning. But just with that incredibly powerful option of the Deoxys, or I say Deoxys, of the Raikou, that we're now seeing also kind of start to be dominant, the same attack, very similar attack in the Deoxys, in a powerful type like Psychic that also has, tools around it to be able to enable it, just like this Lightning deck does.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? And I was just doing some fact checking of my own, right? You listed all the decks like kind of credentials, but arguably, Amazing Shot Raikou was the original BDIF in like vanilla GLC.
Hmm.
Like it was the first BDIF. It would soon be kind of discovered that Ko's control was very broken, but in vanilla GLC, if you go back to the very earliest online tournaments that were being ran on PTCGO, so like I went on to play Limitless, I went all the way back, very first ones. They were won by Amazing Raikou, like back to back. And the Amazing Raikou deck was actually like one of the main reasons that Lysander's trump card ended up getting banned.
Right.
Because this deck would churn through itself very quickly and just recur and reuse Amazing Raikou over and over again, and then and use Lysander's trump card to like put all your key resources back into the deck.
Do it again.
And then you could use Zebstrika and Electrode to just like keep chugging along.
Yeah.
And it was very strong. So like very early days GLC, it was good pretty much the entire time. It was legal. It quickly became one of my favorite decks, even after, I mean, Lysander's trump card. Actually, like one of the first, like there was this fellow who was like grinding the Amazing Raikou deck on like the trading card game online and like winning online tournaments, right? And then like pretty early on in the format's existence, we were like, all right, Lysander's trump card is silly, like we should just ban that. And then like I got a ton of like angry messages from this like online grinder who was like, I hate your format now. I'll never play it again unless you like, unban Lysander's trump card and let me play this Raikou deck. So that was like a very funny interaction, like the first kind of like hate message I ever got, of which now I get many all the time.
Yeah. And this is why we wanted you on, because not only were you there for the history, you can mention, you have this inside look at the history, but you also have the inside look at the rage people feel from a lot of these decks, so
like bro, like this guy's whole personality was the Amazing Raikou deck, and it's like, bro, the format's only been a thing for a couple of months. Like, how could you be so bad?
So what I mean, you're saying it's like an early BDIF, obviously only has, compared to future lists we're going to talk about, only has a couple, of those top 8 finishes, was around for a lot of them. What do you think was holding it back from maybe breaking into that champion level?
Well, I think early on with Lysander's trump card, it did have like, some some really strong options there to just like churn through the deck. And so I think like maybe the Lysander Trump card ban did actually impact the deck a little bit, as it did become like slightly less powerful without that card. But then I think that other decks started getting a lot more cards kind of printed into the pool, while the Amazing Raikou deck more or less stayed the same,
Yeah.
like for a couple of years, really. So it wasn't so much that the Amazing Raikou deck wasn't like fantastic. It's that like Amazing Raikou kind of like existed day one. So did Flaffy. So did Electric, right? And then Regieleki was already there, Tapu Koko was already there, Zebstrika, the whole gang was already there, dude. And then we started playing it with the Electivire eventually, which could just do 180. The Electrode eventually got cut,
Yeah.
but like other than that, there weren't like really new guys coming into the fold. Nowadays, the Spread Lightning deck is played with the Electivire that does 50 to everything,
Right.
instead of Amazing Raikou. But like the nuts and bolts of the deck are like pretty similar. You got both the Dynamotors, you got the Sprint. That's kind of what we're doing here. You got the Tapu Koko Prisms, the Tapu Koko promo
Right.
has like always been there, always will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also at this time, two of some of the top types were water and grass. And when at the beginning of the format, Manaphy wasn't out yet for water, right?
Mhm.
So you had, a favorable, much more favorable matchup into water with the weakness plus no bench barrier. Grass also had no bench barrier, had to take time to evolve all its guys up. And just people were a lot squishier back then. Like the basic attackers were 120 HP. 120 HP was the HP limit to kind of hit as an attacker, right? Until it eventually scaled up to 130 and now like 140 with Iron Boulder. So in those early days, that was just such a devastating attack because, as we've talked about before, Raikou was built for the standard meta, and dominated in there as well with Lugia and things like that. And it was just a, crazy, crazy powerful card compared to a lot of other things GLC was able to offer at the time. So I think just, like you said, was it just an incredibly powerful deck? You just want to loop that Raikou as much as possible, take multiple prizes. It's much harder for decks to recover back then. Multiple guys, multiple of their support Pokemon to even respond to a Raikou effectively. It's just a very, very, very powerful deck. So
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. When this ban went into place, this was when the Joltik and Magneton came out, right? This was right around that time.
Raikou's sunset was on Joltik and Magneton's sunrise.
Yeah.
They never.
We never even
met.
saw the full potential.
They never even,
No.
which I think is absolutely the correct decision.
Raikou was like kind of flirting with the chopping block for a while. Yeah. And then like those two cards kind of coming out at the same time. It was like, all right, it's time to probably say goodbye.
Yeah. It's
It was like, it felt like if you asked like a Raikou player what their ideal acceleration would be, like what they wanted printed, they would have answered with Joltik, which is like,
how about 4 energy?
Yeah. And the
in different types,
like
and give me Crispin as
3 types
well.
they-
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy. So
Yeah, I'm glad it never got to be seen.
but yeah, that is our number 10 in our list. Just kicking it off. Any final thoughts before we move on to number 9?
Broken deck, free Raikou.
Yeah, free Raikou.
Don't give. You're gonna give some people some false hope here, okay?
Lightning dead.
Okay. All right. Number 9. We have Guzzlord Dark. All right. With the Liepard, with the double energies. All right. This deck was gas. Okay. It was incredibly powerful. Much like Raikou, it was one of the early days of GLC's only option to take like a reliable multi-prize turn. Except you're just knocking out one guy as opposed to 2. Guzzlord has 150 HP as a basic for 4 energy. 2 of them double colorless, 120 damage, which, as we mentioned, is the number you want to hit. Not to mention all the damage buffs Dark had access to. You can take 2 prizes whenever you knock anybody out, and probably live an attack because 150 HP was so high at the time. I mean, you can see even up until May 2025, when the double energies were banned, this thing was still kicking. So this was just a year ago, when it kind of like finally was started to drop off a little bit. And so, yeah, I mean, we're going to go over a little bit of the accolades here. It's got 8 top 8 appearances at Full Grip Games set release events. 3 of them, 3-time top 8 at the Brilliant Stars 1K tournament, which was the set when Liepard was released. So as soon as that, consistency package was printed, had an immediate impact on the event, including it won the event from JW, 3rd place finish from Jonathan Tywater, and a 5th place finish from Thomas Rowe. And I had to give Thomas Rowe his own line because he's top 8'd with this deck 4 times. And I was doing research for this video and I had never even heard his name before. I'm like, how come no one's talking about Thomas Rowe, who's apparently Dark's best player of all time? What can you tell me about Thomas Rowe, Andrew?
That he's got 4 top 8 appearances with Dark at 4 Full Grip Premier events.
Yeah, shout out you, Thomas Rowe. 3 of them in the pre area, and then also he was one of the ones that got top 8 at the Journey Together 1K last May. So or last March.
You knocked Thomas out, Ben, and you don't even remember it?
No, there was 2 Darks. I knocked Connor out. I never played against Thomas. I had forgotten there was even 2 that got top 8 at that tournament.
If you played against Thomas, you would have lost for sure then.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The Evolving Skies before the Liepard was printed is probably the craziest thing to me.
Yeah, that's wild. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even know this was a deck before Liepard was printed.
He was Dark's strongest soldier. Yeah, he was in there from the get-go. I wonder how many other events he attended and didn't get top 8, because as far as we know, he's top 8 at every single one he's been at. Who knows? Thomas Rowe, you're kind of an enigma. So shout out you. But yeah, I mean, Andrew, I know back in the day, season 1, Full Grip Games GLC League, you were constantly saying you thought Dark was probably 1, or if not 1, 2 best deck in format. So what can you tell us about the power of this deck?
Yeah, 2023 season, which was 2022, 2023, that year, I thought this was BDIF. Brought it to the first league of the season and won. I thought the deck was absolutely nuts. I thought that Psychic was probably the best card pool in Gym Leader Challenge at that time, which might be hard to believe. That was kind of a hot take at the time, that Psychic was the strongest card pool because people were really high on colorless that year, which we'll get to. But yeah, I thought Darkness was BDIF because of the fact that you could go into Guzzlord, because of the fact that you were hitting Psychic for weakness and taking multiple prizes while doing it. Guzzlord also has a -20 resistance to Psychic, and there really weren't guys that were clearing that. Now, Iron Boulder just knocks it out now, right? But you got to imagine in a pre-Iron Boulder existence, I mean, Gallade wasn't doing it. Nobody was doing that,
No.
right? This is a pre-Monkey, pre-Gallade. That who in the Psychic card pool is handling Guzzlord? Nobody. Actually nobody.
It was so hard.
So Guzzlord could easily go for 4 prizes against the Psychic deck, which just won you the game.
Yeah.
And then the fact that you had Galarian Moltres was also just one of the best attackers in the format. At the end of the game, the Galarian Moltres comes back from the discard pile. You can get it with Clara and accelerate to it, and it could just do 270 damage. At the end of the game, your opponent has 1 prize card remaining. Even if your opponent's only taken 3 prize cards, you're still doing 170 damage. It's an obscene amount of damage, an obscene power level for a card at that point in the format. I mean, really early on, there were not basic Pokemon that were hitting for that much damage. There still aren't really, to be honest. It's just a crazy card. So then you add in Galarian Weezing, you kind of have this disruption angle too, and some of the best decks were the colorless deck, being able to go ascend into Galarian Weezing, can shut that whole thing down. The grass deck, Rillasaur, being able to ascend into Galarian Weezing, shut that whole thing down. Water, ascend into Galarian Weezing, shut that whole thing down. Being able to just shut down any ability reliant strategy with the Galarian Weezing was incredibly powerful too. So I think that this is one of the best decks in Gym Leader Challenges history. It has a win from JW Creedwall to kind of prove that it was a tournament tackling strategy. And then I think that the real downfall of it, a lot of people point to like, oh, well, you banned double colors and twin, and that just like completely killed it. I disagree. I think that the real killer for this deck is that it hasn't gained any new attackers to keep up with the rest of the card pool. It doesn't have like an Iron Boulder or Ogie Dogie equivalent. Pokemon who used to see play like Weavile, that's not even good anymore. It's crazy. Like Weavile is not good anymore. And you can kind of prove that like Weavile is not as potent as it used to be by the fact that people aren't playing Flapple in the Dragon deck either. Like this attack that used to be like an ace in the hole is now just like not really cutting it in modern Gym Leader Challenge. Hoopa's 90 damage is less enticing than it used to be. The Spiritomb with Monkey rolling around and stuff is like not as enticing as it used to be. Galarian Weezing's still good. Liepard's still good. You know, Guzzlord is like slightly worse than it used to be, but still very good. It just doesn't have any new pieces, I think, to really carry it to that next step. And I think that it really only needs maybe another piece or two, and it's going to be a top contender again.
Yeah, I mean, it also has a lot of the guys have the fighting weakness as well, Guzzlord especially, so that obviously hurts. Tinglu just kind of decimates this deck if you go up into a Tinglu spread deck. You do have the new Toxtricity, which is nice, and they're kind of printing some dark things for standard, but as far as the single prize options go, they're a little lackluster for the new things that are coming out. But I mean,
still no attackers, still nothing energy efficient that you could loop or try to recycle.
But any card that says take 2 prizes is always worth considering, and that's just, you know, Guzzlord was just ahead of its time a little bit, and it's possible that in the future it'll have another run for its money. You know, we've gotten some decent consistency packages for Dark recently with Toxtricity, with Crobat, with Grimsley's move, you know, so the card pool is expanding. But yeah, at the time, like, Guzzlord was just a tank. It was hard to deal with 150 HP for a lot of decks that were focused on evolving and getting ability locked by Weezing. And the nuke of Moltres late game, like Andrew said, was just so good, and obviously helped a lot with having the double colorlesses available to it.
We mentioned fighting being such a weakness for the deck now, but like fighting wasn't even really a contender. It wasn't even the top deck discussion back then. You know, like it was having that great resistance to psychic, but like most decks couldn't. Not even just like Psychic didn't have anything to do with it, the Guzzlord. Most decks didn't, and you weren't running into much fighting. If you were, it was like spread with like Hitmon combo and stuff like that. That still wasn't knocking out the Guzzlord. So
no, the 150 HP is crazy. It's still one of the beefiest basic Pokemon in the format. 150 is extremely high. And they still haven't gone back to print more Ultra Beasts yet, so we might get new Guzzlord. I don't know. I'd hope for new Ultra Beasts at some point, but
what if we get more Ultra Beast support?
More Ultra Beast support would go crazy.
That would be cool because I feel like all of the Ultra Beasts except for Guzzlord are absolute jank. they all read like you like look at them and you wince and you're like maybe, and then like you actually think about it and you're like not a chance.
Blacephalon's a 3-time champion.
They're all really good on one turn of the game. On one turn of the game, and that's just not that doesn't really work in GLC. Like
Yeah,
you
why
need
did
your guys,
Guzzlord not
you
follow
need
that
your
trend?
guys to be able to be used multiple times, unless they're
He
broken like
does.
Guzzlord or
So
Blacephalon.
so the Ultra Beast gimmick is that they all interact with the prize cards,
Okay, and
which
then, yeah,
all the other ones interact with the prize cards in a bad way.
Yeah.
and
Because
they're very
Yeah, no, he's a beast. It's a at the time it was an incredibly fun deck to play. When Turbo Energize came out for this deck, it just pushed it over the moon. That's why Andrew was talking about that 2023 season. That's like around when Turbo Energize came out. You could go into Wheezing Lock and then Turbo Energize under Ability Lock. Then you were just a DCE attachment away. Piers came out as well, which also sought out any energy card. So it had a lot of tools going for it, and a lot of the other decks in the meta just very, very much struggled to deal with it. Yeah, so incredibly powerful deck up until we were talking about that double colorless energy ban, and less so that the deck got way, way worse, but more so just a lot of people just kind of moved past it because, like Andrew said, like Psychic just had an easier way to deal with it with the Iron Boulder. So that was a big impact, but it getting 2 top 8 placements at that Journey Together 1K, it had a lot of staying power. So this deck was powerful for a long time, and definitely deserving of one of these top 10 slots for sure. Any final comments?
This is the first deck I ever showed up and played the league.
How'd that go for you?
I think I went like 2-2 both times I showed up and played it. But I was
Beast.
a noob.
Beast.
I
Before
lost to
locked in.
JW at this event playing Psychic Spread, probably the most miserable matchup I think I've ever played in GLC.
That's
One-shotting all my guys without weakness while I'm not taking any knockouts.
Guzzlord will rise again.
Absolutely.
That's right. All right. Number 8. We've got the Fossil Lab colorless deck at number 8, which may be controversial. I think some people might say this should go higher. It is an incredibly powerful deck. If you are not in the know, only lasted for 1 year, November 2022 when Archeops was printed, November 2023 when Fossil Research Lab was banned. Archeops has the Primal Turbo ability, which says you can search your deck for 2 special energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon. Pair it with the Pokemon Research Lab Stadium, which says you can end your turn by searching 2 Pokemon that evolve from unidentified fossil and put them right onto your bench. So skip the fossils entirely. You do that turn 1 with this deck. On turn 2, you have an Archeops plus an Aerodactyl ready to go and swing for 180 damage. You got the Snorlax to swing for 180 damage. Just a lot of 180 damage guys that you can continuously loop thanks to the Archeops, the double energies that are in your deck. And just doing that on turn 2 was just such an insane speed pace for GLC decks at that time. And so hard to deal with because you want to take a turn to like Gust Archeops, but if you do that, they've already powered up their Snorlax, so you're just leaving him, and then they can prep a second double energy on someone else. So it's like so impossible to kind of counter everything that they're throwing at you with this deck. It was just incredibly fast, and we just have to mention there was no major events during this year. It was all locals and online play. The best data we have is old Cardboard Warriors news articles claiming that it was a 60% win rate, which was, just way higher than every other deck that they were reporting on. And anecdotally from our own league, John has some stories about what he was doing before we implemented the badge system with this deck. Apparently he was farming us. And yeah, you just, like I mentioned, you have Archeops, Aerodactyl, Snorlax. It was just far and away the BDF during this period. But yeah, John, I mean, you said you played this deck a ton early days. What's your memory of it?
Yeah, this deck just won games. Like like that 60% win rate felt even higher just like playing it at locals every single week. Felt personally targeted by Andrew because this is when the badge system first got started, and he's like, yeah, let's get the badge system in here so people start playing some new decks. And I was just slamming this deck every single week. And yeah, it's so strong. I just remember playing this at locals and like my opponent would like win the coin flip and they would be like, "Ah, I don't know if I want to let you go first because if you get Fossil Lab turn one with either the Fossil Lab or the Stadium Nav, it's so good for you." Like it was a deck that made you consider like not going second because of how broken a turn one Fossil Lab could be going first.
Yeah.
So it was just a crazy, super powerful deck. Like yeah, I'm the Ben mentioned there's people who probably want this higher. I'm one of those people. I think it should be a little higher up on the list. There's some really good decks coming up too, though. So I'm not upset with an 8th placement for it. Yeah.
And this was predating your time in GLC, huh, Tony?
Yeah, but I do recall when I was a standard Andy. This was like the first time that kind of like the GLC news like really bled over into like standard nights. I feel like it was like hearing people talk about, oh, like the Fossil Labs getting banned, like thank goodness, like it's about time for that thing to go, and all the colorless heads like getting upset that was, that was the deck was gonna be bad, but like no way. There's no way that could be the case. But I do remember very vividly
Yeah.
hearing about it when I knew literally nothing about GLC.
Yeah, for sure. Andrew, what's your early memories of the deck?
That's funny, hearing from a player's perspective like John's or like, the Cardboard Warriors. I mean, they were really adamant that like the deck was way too broken. It was like this huge online discussion for like an entire year, really, that the deck was way too good and that it was stifling and that it was oppressive and all that. Now, it's really hard to say, um, you know, uh, because I have my experience from playing at League and seeing my own local league, right? And then like the Cardboard Warriors, they're kind of like one online league, right? Like, and their online tournaments would get about as much attendance as our local league would, right? So a lot of people's experiences, it's all anecdotal,
Yeah.
right? And um, after Research Lab got banned, like I went to Brazil for LAIC and I had players there like lamenting it so much. And we're like, no, it's so fun. It was, such a fair deck. It was so cool. Like we built our whole team's, kind of identity around this GLC deck, and it's what we play at a league every single week, right? So it's really hard to make decisions based on anecdotal evidence, but really that's kind of like what has to happen. So for me, I was like kind of fielding these anecdotal stories for like an entire year. And my experience was like, it's like good, but it's not that broken. Like, you can beat it. Like, just like ability lock or like hex or play enhanced hammer. For me, this was something where I really wanted to push the Gym Leader Challenge community to try and counter it. Like, I didn't want to just slap it with a ban for a long time, and I think that I let it kind of run for a while because I thought that the combo was cool. I mean, using Research Lab to pop the Archeops into play, it's cool. But I think after a year of watching that deck play out and how kind of like non-interactive it is, like once they just get the turn one Research Lab, and then it's like it really is kind of like a non-interactive like
Yeah.
game. They just kind of like steamroll the whole board and then it's just over like so easily, right? um I was like, okay, well, I think I'm happy that the deck existed and got to play out for a while, because to me that's part of the fun of Gym Leader Challenges, letting old cards interact with new cards. But I also was happy to let that combination kind of like fade off into the distance, right? I think that it's not something that needed to be a permanent fixture of the format. I'm happy it existed. Now I'm happy that it's gone. It certainly was very powerful, but I feel good. I feel good about it being at number 8 because I think that there are stronger decks ahead.
Yeah, and like we said, no major events during this time, so it's hard to really gauge, like true meta development around it, like people really taking the time to kind of tackle it. Like we could argue like, Cardboard Warriors maybe was doing that, because they didn't have badge systems really. People were just playing the colorless deck over and over. But it's again anecdotal. I do remember it feeling so oppressive, and not that you couldn't win, but just those moments where they did get the turn one lab, I was just like, I mean, you're cooked. Like I was saying, like you can choose to like bring up the Archeops like on the next 2 or 3 turns, but the damage is already done if they can use the ability once. It's like they get so far ahead in their energy attachments, because not only do they get 2 energies from Archeops, which is enough to power up a Snorlax, they can also attach a second double energy for turn to their next guy, and so they already have 2 fully powered up 5 energies in play after 1 turn of Archeops on some of the strongest basics that exists in the format, in that Snorlax, in that Kangaskhan at the time, kind of funny, with the rally back attacking for just 2, and then the Aerodactyl for 180 as well. It was just like, no matter what I do here, it's kind of like a lost situation. Like I can't afford to leave the Archeops, but I can't afford to leave the Snorlax. So unless you were ability locking, or they whiffed the stadium, it really felt kind of unwinnable at that point. So I was happy to see it go for sure. But it's really cool. It is really cool. It's unarguably really cool. Anytime we get to use the fossils to good effect, I think Pokemon players are happy with that. And that was the biggest pushback for the lab ban. People were hoping you'd hit Archeops, right? Because now that you hit the lab, all of their other fossil decks are now all of a sudden much worse. Like the fighting fossil players were incredibly pissed off. So I don't know how much did you hear about that?
I mean, I did hear some of it, but look at it now, right? Is Archeops unfair now?
No.
So did I make the right choice?
And just look at the fossil effects that are being printed now on the fossil Pokemon. Like it's I think that's a prime example of like future proofing the format with the correct ban, because you're looking at, you never know what other fossil Pokemon they're going to print up. It's like, okay, we banned Archeops way back now, but now we got to ban Lab because water's springing up and immune to special energy and a minus 50 damage guy all of a sudden. Like it's
and guess what the card designers are not currently doing? They are not designing their current power level of fossils with Research Lab in mind. Yeah. Okay. They weren't designing Archeops with Research Lab in mind. Yeah. I mean, they were designing with Lugia V-Star in mind, but okay. But still, this modern iteration of fossils, like, Tyrantrum and all those guys are not being designed with Research Lab in mind. So like Research Lab really was the linchpin there, and I'm really happy with that card being gone, as I think that now when you got like this new fossil excavation site, cards are being kind of designed with that in mind. So and that's kind of where the design team sees the fossils going. I think fossils are kind of just a design issue in the Pokemon trading card game. I don't know that they've ever really kind of figured that formula out. I just made a video about that on YouTube, and we'll see. I think that the fossils are still an enigma in the Pokemon TCG.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. But this deck was crazy powerful. Maybe, one of the highest power levels comparative to its era. Just not many. A lot of the decks we're talking about are incredibly powerful, but I don't think there's many where. There's only a couple of them where it's like, this is by far the BDIF at the time it existed. It's like one specific deck being BDIF. That doesn't happen too often in GLC, at least with this big of a gap. So between it and maybe the second place deck. So maybe it could be higher, but yeah, it does, for a lot of the reasons mentioned. Also,
keep in mind, this is still a format where I thought Dark and Psychic were still both better than this deck in this format. I was an Archeops hater like the whole year.
Dang, that's a hot take.
That is a hot
take. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why we were having these arguments at League. And people were like, "Yo, Andrew thinks Dark's BDF. That's crazy."
I mean, on the outside,
in the face of this,
on the outside looking in, if you don't find your Fossil Lab in like the first 2 turns of the game, like the deck kind of sucks, no? Like
I've been
Nah,
saying this,
the
dude.
deck's
I've
still
deck
literally
looks
good.
like
been
it.
saying this. I've been saying this, dude.
That deck
Just
looks like
play
it
Enhanced Hammer
kinda
like an ability lock, like you'll win. And guess what
yeah.
deck's got ability lock? Psychic and darkness. So
We need to have some
What if you
retro
what if
money
you just
matches here.
what if you
Resolve
just
these.
prize your fossil lab? You just lose.
No,
as I'm
you
saying,
have.
they'll prize a
You got
piece.
an unidentified
Okay.
fossil.
They'll prize a piece. They'll have the Arcan in their hand. They can't even fossil lab for
Yeah,
it,
that's
dude. I'm
another
telling
thing.
you, yeah, dude. There's a million ways to lose with this deck.
All right. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's just the games. Yeah, maybe, and that's why it's this low on the list, because it is very reliant on that strategy being pulled off, and there for sure is, a good amount of games where that didn't happen. It's just when it did happen, it felt terrible.
It was unfun when
Yeah,
it did happen.
it
I
was
think that's
unfun.
ultimately what led to the ban.
Yeah, had a Hex Maniac too. You could do those 5 energy attachments and then Hex Maniac your opponent. How dirty is that, man? Oh man. Anyways, all right. That's our number 8 slot. We're gonna move on to deck number 7, which is RDT Rocks Dogi Ting Lu, one of the more recent decks on this list. September 2025, when Mega Evolution came out at the Mega Evolution 3K event, created by the Turbo Blaze team. Chris Ghouls Hill ended up taking down that 3K in a field of Psychic. So it was just a crazy run. Mega Evolution as a set was insane for fighting. Lunatone, Soul Rock, Marshadow, Premium Power Pro, and Fighting Gong all printed in that set. All 5 of those cards present in the championship deck. The biggest glow up jump in the tier list for any type ever in GLC probably has since then top aided 4 times at the 3K events at Full Grip Games. So it's been less than a year still, so keep that in mind. It also has the most badges, probably. I didn't fact check all of our season 1, season 2 badges, but season 3, 10 of the fighting badges, there's 13 fighting badges. 10 of those can all be attributed to this RDT list. It just kept winning after the Mega Evolution event. It's incredibly consistent and just really does well on that local level, where you just need to kind of hit your power cards and do what you want to do in the course of 4 or 5 rounds. And this deck was doing that very consistently. And it just this deck put fighting on the map. Before that, fighting was in the same conversation as fire and fairy. It was the F tier, fighting, fairy, fire. And so this just, yeah, we were cooking a little bit with fighting prior to this 3K, talking about Garganackle, things like that. And I think it is inarguably the RDT deck that, showed up and just did what it needed to do to take down the event, and very much, kind of shaped the meta that we saw for the few months after that. So that is why it is on the list, top 10, number 7. What are your guys' thoughts?
I mean, it's still. I think it's just impressive how it's with how dominant Psychic is right now. That RDT is still, still winning badges at League. Still being played to 3Ks when, you could hands down say Psychic is the best deck in the format right now, or was for the bulk of the time from the Mega Evolution 3K until now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this deck really proved that anything is possible with an expansion in Gym Leader Challenge. It's kind of the ultimate copium, right? That your favorite type 2 could have a fighting style glow up with just a single set.
One set could change your life.
Right? I mean, Mega Evolution just took fighting from being a low tier deck to a high tier deck. And watching that happen in a format like GLC, where the card pool goes all the way back to black and whites, proved that I think that anything can happen. So it was really exciting. It was a innovative deck from Chris Hill, and and for him to kind of identify that you didn't need an energy accelerator, you could just manually attach to your guys and win games. That was kind of the groundbreaking point for this deck. And part of what makes it so consistent is that it doesn't have any evolution Pokemon aside from the Lucario.
Yeah.
So very strong deck. It certainly exploded onto the scene in Gym Leader Challenge, and I think for that certainly deserves a top 10 spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just was incredibly dominant, especially after like the month after this one. It was like everybody wanted a piece of the new fighting deck at League. I remember Jack Martin going, why can't we build our own decks? Why is everyone playing RDT? And we're just like, well, because it's the deck that keeps winning. It like just kept winning League. And, undeniably, if you wanted to try and get a badge, and you needed a fighting badge, this was the one that you were going to sleeve up. And it just had such a big impact. It had multiple lines of play from the Ting-Lu spread strategy with the Halucha and the Marshadow to clean up guys and become invincible, synergizing so well with, softening guys up for Soul Rock, adding damage counters for your Ursaluna late game, or if they don't respond to the Ting-Lu, just becoming a multi-prize monster. And then follow that up with Okidogi, which is arguably the best basic attacker ever printed for GLC. So it just synergized really well with a pretty small pool of Pokemon in it, being able to utilize just tons of strong trainer cards, and just was very low to the ground with that Lunatone Soul Rock combo. So just has all the pieces to be a strong, consistent deck. And recent developments, Dylan and Ben Peacock top aided at the last 3K with their version of RDT, which featured the Hariyama, so additional Gust added as well. So the deck continues to evolve, and it'll be interesting to see how it continues to move forward in future years. It's still a very young deck, and yeah, we'll see what happens in the future with it. So strong deck.
It's true, bro.
Any final thoughts or comments? All good?
I just think just final shout to Ghouls here for this exact 60. We mentioned us just a bunch of people jamming it the weeks after the tournament at League, and it was literally what's the one card you want to change from the list? Because it was just such a solid list that just continued to prove itself after winning this tournament. And showing up and getting result, winning badges and stuff like that with just a one card change. You could pick this deck up and play it to your local tournament or a 3K as it stands right now. It hasn't been that long since this deck came out, but it's just a very solid 60. Exactly.
Yeah, nailed it.
I just can't see this deck being lower than A tier as a play to any 3K in the next year. So it just seems insanely consistent.
Yeah.
It's good at doing what it wants to do. Yeah. Props to the team for cooking that one up, getting a spot on the top 10. Well done. Moving on to number 6. We've got Amazing Kyogre. From July 2021, GLC was created. November 2022, Kyogre gets the axe. Amazing Kyogre is just insane, one of the most insane basic Pokemon that ever existed in Gym Leader Challenge. 120 HP basic, has a 4 energy cost attack, amazing surge, with 3 different colors in the energy cost, but it says you can do 80 damage to all of your opponent's Pokemon, okay? And when paired with Inteleon Shady Dealings, Energy Grace Milotic, you could power this thing up very quickly and maybe more than once to just completely board wipe your opponent, take 5-6 prizes on all their guys, and win the game before they even get a chance to get going. It was crazy. A little lacking in the accolades department, though, for the insane power that this deck had. Only has 2 full grip event top 8 appearances, both by Andrew Wisniewski. Apologies if I mispronounced that, but at the Fusion Strike and the Astral Radiance event, Andrew top 8'd both of those. Also got to mention one of the largest PTCGO tournaments that ever happened, 66 players with the Cardboard Warriors. It became in first and second place in August of 2022. And if you notice, second place was All Out Blitzel, who just won NAIC. One of the top players in the game right now, showing out with the Kyogre. He did lose the mirror, but that's because Leonardo had Manaphy and Blitzel did not. So there you go.
Gotta play the Manaphy. Come on.
Yeah, and then after May 2022, there was no major events for a while, and then it was banned in November of 2022. So, in my opinion, this is what I remember as the most hated GLC deck of all time, but I'd love to hear some of your guys' thoughts.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it, right? I mean, obviously, the online tournaments, it started winning. I'd seen it firsthand at the full grip events. And to be honest, whenever I would see the amazing Kyogre deck top 8, like a full grip event, I was like, oh, cool. That's neat, right? Like you're juicing the guy, you're doing the thing. It's a board wipe, but like kind of a wombo combo. You gotta get it all together. And like, how consistently can you really do that? Keep in mind, this is early GLC, so cards like Buddy Buddy Poffin don't exist yet.
His Sui and Heavy Ball wasn't out yet.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's just a lot of tools that you just are like, oh, well, that's like a GLC card. Every GLC deck plays X, Y, and Z. I can get my stage 1, stage 2s out, no problem every single game. Yeah, things were different in like 2021.
Yeah.
There was a way smaller card pool, and the power level of like the item search card specifically was not nearly as high as it is now. I mean, now we got freaking Pokepad, dude. Like, it's insane. But as I watched the deck kind of evolve, it became clear to me that players were consistently getting the turn 2, turn 3 Kyogre. And when the deck was streaky, I was like, well, like it's such a risky play to like actually take the Kyogre deck to a tournament because it is so hot and cold. It's so streaky, right? And like if they knock out your Kyogre, what the heck are you doing then? Then you're just playing a terrible deck, right? Because you're kind of all eggs in this Kyogre basket. But then once players really started to like refine it and figure it out, and I feel like that kind of really started to happen right around that 1,000-pack, 66-player 1,000-pack event on PTCGO, where you got Blitzel and Leonardo 1-2 finish with the Kyogre deck. It was like almost like, okay, well, I have to start paying attention to it now.
Yeah.
I was like very okay not paying attention to it and just thinking it was kind of a gimmick while it was only finishing in top 8 of events. But once it's like winning events over and over, you're like, okay, well, this is either just a top deck or is it a problem? And when you look at Kyogre as a card, if you can consistently get this thing going on the second or third turn of the game, it just invalidates like everything.
Yeah.
So right, like it's like a non-interactive card to play against. I mean, it's extremely problematic, and the Kyogre was designed to be competing with Vs and VMAXs, and is in a format with none of those and all evolving Pokemon and basics.
Yeah.
And 80 damage knocks out like all evolving basics except for like Whalmer, and it knocks out like many stage 1s.
Yeah.
2 attacks from Kyogre is knocking out like almost everything. Yeah. And by the nature of Gym Leader Challenge, like at this point, only 2 types had bench barrier. So
Yeah.
like there wasn't even counterplay available for many decks, and the counterplay frankly didn't matter because Silent Lab is still a card, and you could recur that with Lusamine if you needed to. So
Yeah, no, it's crazy. You can boost his HP as well, so even if you had a response, you might not even be knocking it out. And played the Fury Belt and the Cape of Toughness. And then, not to mention, you could sit behind the Articuno, which you could put the Articuno in the active, and it has an ability that prevents boss's orders or Guzma on your bench Pokemon. So you just sit that Articuno active as you power up your Kyogre and just like wait to your turn to do 80 damage everywhere. If they have 6 Pokemon play, that's 480 damage that you're spreading on the board turn 2 or 3. It's just an insanely high number, outclassing everything else in the format, all the everyone that's evolving. It was just crazy. So games were often decided after 2 attacks from this thing. It's just like, could you could you survive the onslaught, or and try to deal with it. And I just remember, when I say like I remember it being the most hated deck, like I feel like I have vivid memories of people online saying they're quitting Gym Leader Challenge because of this deck. And I remember also early days of Full Grip League, there would be, it was like it was like a societal kind of norm that like we wouldn't really play it kind of thing. It was kind of like we agree to not play it if someone did play it, or if someone wanted to test against it, I would just be like, nah, I'm good. Like just refusal to kind of interact with it at a local level because of just it's like not it's like, I'm gonna watch you. You're gonna put Articuno active. I'm gonna watch you power this guy up, and then you're gonna knock all of my guys out. It's like whatever. I'm good. So that was my memory of this deck. I never built it myself because I just was like, I don't want to do this to people.
I feel like the obvious counterplay to any spread deck in particular is like, well, just like, limit your bench. Like, you're playing against like lightning spread in the modern day. You're like, okay, don't bench all your guys that you don't have to, kind of stagger them a little bit. But when you're dealing with a Pokemon that can deal 80 damage to your bench, it's just like it's like knocking out those evolving Pokemon. It's like your counterplay is like stunting your bench and your game plan in order to be able to play the game, which doesn't even work anyway. So it's just like there really isn't any counterplay that you can do, even like outside of like no bench barrier. Because like Andrew, you mentioned like with the colorless deck, it's like okay, let's let it go for a little bit, see what the community can do to counter this deck, how the format evolves around the deck. And when you've got a card like Kyogre, which just like aside from no bench barrier, really just doesn't have any counterplay. Like it's just there really isn't any other option other than to remove it from the format.
Yeah, and I really like Gym Leader Challenge as kind of like a Brewers format, right? So especially in the early days of Gym Leader Challenge, like I wanted to encourage players to try and make the most broken decks that they could as consistent as they possibly could. So for a lot of decks, it was like, okay, well, we're just gonna let it ride until it's too good, right? And like a lot of things got weeded out in that way, and Kyogre certainly was one of them. Compare the power level of a card like Kyogre to the power level of a card like Kyurem in the Dragon card pool now, right? Like powering up that Kyurem multiple times. It's like unless your opponent has played Colress, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're actually putting those 5 energy on and discarding all of them, like you're not doing
No.
that, right? To do 110 to 3 things. But like Kyogre, you are doing this.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, it's happening. Like, oh, and we could do it a whole bunch actually. With the energy grace melodic, being able to just bring the energy right back. Like you could back to back Kyogre.
Yeah.
Like not just you
Mhm.
could, you will back to back Kyogre. Like
Yep.
very easily actually. And it's all coordinated by the Intellion line, of course, which just makes the whole deck work. So it was really cool getting to watch players brew up the list and perfect it and make it get to a point where it was consistent enough to be worthy of a ban. I mean, because ultimately, like, the card does not interact with the concept of Gym Leader Challenge very well, and is just pretty toxic for the format in general. So,
Yeah. Yep. I am happy to have left it in the past for sure. But obviously deserving of a top 10 spot on the best decks of all time. Any final thoughts on this deck from y'all? All good? That's gonna wrap up our
Nothing for me is before my time.
before Tony's time. It's gonna wrap up our bottom half of the top 10 list. So we are getting to the top 10. No, sorry, the top 5 Gym Leader Challenge decks of all time. Okay, starting with number 5, we've got the first crazy, crazy powerful Forest of Giant Plants, Rillasaur. Even maybe a couple months after Forest of Giant Plants was banned as well, but Grass was just early GLC was just kind of on another level when it came to board consistency. When paired with Venusaur, which doubles grass energy, Rillaboom searching out 2 energy from the deck. You had the Grovyle to search Pokemon. A lot of early lists also played the Shiinotic, which has the same ability as the Grottle and the Grovyle to search out grass Pokemon. So you had energy acceleration, Pokemon search, and breaking evolutions, just all on your board accessible to you. It's just an insanely consistent combo. And like Andrew talked about, early days of GLC consistency was much harder to achieve at the level we have now back then. That wasn't necessarily the case for Grass, though. Grass was kind of on, I don't know, maybe Andrew could say more about it, but just on this other level when it came to consistently doing its strategy and just in incredibly powerful ways. It has a tournament win at the Fusion Strike event from Mike Gibbs, and then a top 8 in the Evolving Skies event. Force the Giant Plants was then banned in January of 2022, right before Grottle and Torterra were released, which we now know as kind of like the face of Grass. And even after Forest was banned, the Torterra Grass deck got 2nd and 4th place at the Astral Radiance event. So it continued right on to be a top type even after Forest was banned. Much like when Dimension Valley got banned recently. Obviously hurt Psychic decks, but they take it in stride and they keep pushing forward. That's what Grass was doing back then. Yeah, give us your thoughts.
Right, and now we have Forest of Vitality in format, and Grass decks are still good, but the face of them is a little bit different than it used to be. It used to be all about pumping energy into play and doubling them up.
Yeah.
The Rillaboom Venusaur combo was extremely good at that. Your main attackers, Zarude and the Shining Genesect. And what a cool Pokemon to be like a spotlight attacker, the Shining Genesect. It's the only Shining Pokemon that was like a staple in a major archetype for a significant period of time. And this deck was just so much fun to play. It was explosive. You had the kind of pre Grottle Grovyle that you could use. You could play Sceptile or you could not play Sceptile. You had the Shiinotic, right? And being able to just kind of go get those evolutions was really good. I'll never forget that in the earliest days of Gym Leader Challenge, like I'm kind of like talking to Natalie just about like conceptually about the format and about the different decks, right? And I'm like talking to Natalie, I'm like, oh yeah, like Grass is good because like you've got like Rillaboom and Venusaur, and you kind of have like an engine there that like pumps energy into play and then doubles them up. And she's like, oh yeah, you would probably play like Roserade in a deck like that, right? And I'm like, no, we're not playing Roserade. Like, there's no reason to play that. It's just, and she's like, really? Like, really? Like getting any card just seems pretty good. And I'm like, no, you would need to play Roserade. She like, rightfully so, gives me a hard time about that take that I had. Because I was just wrong. I mean, Roserade is so good in this deck, and being able to reuse Roserade with Force of Giant Plants was incredible too, and could really help to spring things into play. One of the strategies that ended up being very, very much used was that you could use Roserade to go search out Force of Giant Plants. That was kind of an innovation that ended up happening in the deck to just spring things into play very consistently. So that was cool. The Grass deck was also one of the few decks that could actually compete with Colorless Control early on, as Mike Gibbs did beat Colorless Control in the
Azul.
finals.
Yep.
Yeah, he beat Azul playing Colorless Control. And then the very next event, was also colorless control versus grass in the finals.
Yeah.
So back-to-back events, even after Forest got banned, it was still colorless control versus grass in the finals. So that was pretty cool to watch. And this grass deck, it was always a deck that I would point new players towards as well, because it was such a neat and unique deck in Gym Leader Challenge. Very consistent, kind of taught you how to navigate the format, how to navigate establishing a singleton board, and how each of the abilities can kind of combo off each other. It kind of teaches the format well. And you could still play it today. It still would be a fine deck
Yeah.
today, really. And yeah, it's just that I think it's like kind of maybe slightly outclassed by Hydro Pump as far as like being an ability heavy deck with stage 2s that like gets big attackers going. Like,
Right.
you probably just want to be doing Hydro Pump instead of Rillasaur. But if you really like grass Pokemon, you can play Rillasaur. Except it's not
Yeah.
Sore anymore. It's
Mega
Rilanium
Boom.
or whatever. Mega Boom.
Yeah, Mega Boom.
It's
Mega
called
Boom
Boomer
now.
Grass now, because all the old heads like it. But yeah, I mean, the deck was, like I said, just had all these consistency built into it, and pulling grass from the deck and having the Genesect and the Zarude to basically be able to knock out anything once Venusaur was up. That's also a trait that not a lot of other decks had. Just kind of infinite damage on a basic Pokemon. That was like achievable. So yeah, and just an incredibly fun deck, like very fair. I mean, Forest obviously had to go, but without
Yeah, I was gonna
Forest, it
say.
was just like I think it was a very fair. That's why you point people to it, because it was like, this is a very fun, very fair, very strong, very good example of what GLC should be. Iconic, arguably, and we can add that to one of the reasons why it's in the top 5 as well. For our list, it's just like kind of the deck you think of when you think of early GLC is, colorless control maybe, and the grass list, Forest of Giant Plants. So Forest of Giant Plants was legal for quite a good amount of time. It wasn't the first set of cards banned, right? So you obviously felt like it was pretty fine to exist for a while.
It was the release of Torterra that got me worried about Forest of Giant Plants, because like Torterra, when it got released, I mean, was like a bombshell for the format. We're talking about like there really wasn't a Pokemon that was quite on that power level
Yeah.
yet. Wailord is obviously like your kind of closest point of comparison, but you're talking about a 190 hit point Pokemon that can do 300 damage for 2 energy,
Yeah.
lining up against all these other, Sun and Moon power level cards.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. And you're dropping Torterra into like already a BDIF like archetype. It was nuts. It would be like if fighting was already BDIF and then you gave it Ogie Dogie. Like, you're like, oh my God. Like that was how grass getting Torterra felt at the time. So Forest getting trimmed out, I was fine with that. It kind of felt like a fine maneuver to make. Grass was like pretty dominant, and then like getting a new toy with Torterra. Force had already been banned and expanded.
Yeah.
Just didn't feel like a very future-proof card. And actually like but it's something that I had started to like second guess a little bit as Grass's dominance started to wane over the years. And then they printed Force of Vitality, and I was like, perfect, like actually perfect, right? Because like that's the fair version, actually. Like, I don't like the concept of like turn 1 pop-offs and like turn 1 wins. Forest does technically enable those kinds of things to happen.
Yeah.
But Force of Vitality,
Does not.
fixes that, right?
Yeah,
So like Force of Vitality is perfect.
The Force of Vitality, it doesn't. I mean, it technically does let you just like fundamentally break a rule of the game, but it doesn't feel that it can get as dramatic as Flourish of Giant Plants does. It just feels like it lets you do cool things.
Yeah.
Like Revitalizer for Roserade, or like
Yeah.
it makes like your Super Rod better. It's just like cool stuff. Like just
Yeah,
does feel like the perfect fair version of that card.
for sure. Yeah, early days of GLC, it was just one of the best decks for sure, and it was one of the best decks for a long time, until a lot of these other archetypes just got a lot more cards printed for them to kind of catch up. And I mean, we played Shining Genesect for a long time because we weren't getting any other basic attackers to like replace it, and it was like very much like suboptimal. It was kind of like you only went for Shining Genesect if like your Zarude was prized, or something like that. But I mean, yeah, I have very fond memories of the deck. Yeah, like I said, just one of the iconic decks of GLC. So top 5, number 5.
I was
And
gonna say this is the deck that I associate most with you, Ben, from your old tabletop videos.
I used to
I
play.
feel like you were
Yeah, I
always
used to
I feel
play.
like you were always playing this deck.
I was playing Rillasaur for a long time. Yeah, that and Hydro Pump were like my 2 favorite decks. So,
Yep.
Yeah, there are lots of fond memories for sure. Moving on though to number 4, we've got Turbo Colorless. September 2024, Fan Rotom was printed. May 2025, double colorless energies were banned. In that time frame, we had a BDIF on our hands. Okay, Fan Call Rotom, unprecedented levels of consistency when it came to just board setup, being able to search for 3 colorless Pokemon, 100 HP or less. Combined with roll compression, you could donk things with the Fan Rotom at the same time. So you could set up your whole board and take a turn 1 knockout. That alone was crazy enough. When Fan Rotom was released, that was just super dominant. And then in March 2025, when Journey Together was printed, we got the Hops package with Hops Cramorant, Hops Snorlax, which just fit so cleanly into the deck as just 2 more just swing for just insane numbers for such low energy costs with both the Snorlax and the Cramorant. The deck was just kind of unstoppable at the time. It was so fast, had the best draw of any deck with Bibarel, Squovit, Cinccino, Oranguru. Like you had room to fit all those guys in the deck. 3 double energies, the Hops Choice Band to skip an energy attachment, Cramorant for 180 damage for free. Like donking everything.
Can you
It was
tell,
just
can you tell this guy won with the deck?
Oh, and by the way, it won the Journey Together 1K event, and it was the runner-up between myself and Trevor Redding. That was the only major event this deck was ever legal for. Right after that, Andrew announced the ban of the DCE Twin Energies, and arguably the deck is still, very good. The deck is still very good. It has fighting weakness, of course. A lot of the guys do, but even without the double energies, still a threat for sure. So it was just crazy powerful. I mean, I maybe this is coming off biased because obviously I'm the one that won with the deck, but like I picked that deck to play because it was like obviously the BDIF at the time. I think I have the meta stats here.
Dude, I remember we did the boot camp.
Yep.
You guys came
Yeah.
over. I was like, you guys would be so stupid not to play the colorless deck. It's
Yeah.
like far and away so broken compared to everything else.
Yeah.
And it was it really was those new cards, the Hops cards, that really kind of, just pushed it so far. And it's like, I already knew from a game design standpoint that like it wasn't gonna last. I was like, this is too broken, but we gotta just let it ride for
That's
like
exactly
this event,
how I felt
right?
playing the deck. It was
I was like,
playing
it's
at that
too
tournament. I was
much.
like, there's no way. There's no way this
It's way
is
too
gonna be
much,
allowed.
bro. But I was like, you guys have to play it because it's like this is it. This is your one time to play this stupid deck, and then it's gonna be see ya.
Yeah.
because it's way too cracked, and in a lot of ways, it's the perfect big basic deck because you had the Snorlaxes, both of them, that were just absolute monsters. You had the Hops Cramorant, which fixed all the problems with playing the Snorlaxes, which that they took the double energies.
Yep.
The Hops Crab didn't,
Yep.
Right.
and could like crank out insane damage in the mid game. Fan Rotom, perfect early game attacker if you want to go in with powerful colorless, muscle band, whatever, hitting for crazy damage turn one while setting up your whole board. And the reason I say you're the perfect big basic deck is because you could just support your board with stage ones that were like low to the ground and consistent, Bieberell, whatever, and just churn through your whole deck. It had the perfect supporting cast. And since all of your attackers were big basics, since you didn't need to devote any of your deck to energy acceleration because you had so many broken special energy that you could play, you had room in the deck for
Everything.
the most abusive cards. Everything. All the power cards, you just could play them. You played Enhanced Hammer. You were playing Counter Catcher. You were playing Reset Stamp. You were playing Hex Maniac. Every power card, Parallel City. Every power card. You played every single power card, and you could easily draw into them and use them because you didn't need to energy accelerate or anything. You didn't even need to set up anything. You just slap energy on your big basics and go, 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 go.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
We only played 2 stadiums in this deck?
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's all you needed.
Yeah,
That
bro.
that doesn't even feel real.
Everyone else was
That's
playing
so
colorless
crazy.
too. A stadium was going to be in play.
Yeah. What did you need? Post-Wick? You're doing plenty of damage already.
Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to, because I feel like I was like straight donking people with Fan Rotom, but like doesn't seem possible with only 2 stadiums in the
It was
deck.
happening. It was happening. And
It was happening.
you're playing
That's
Lost
why.
Vacuum. Playing Lost
why I was
Vacuum
reacting
and
like
Field Blower, which decks could not find room for now. On top of that, you're also playing Town Map, Pokegear, and Trainer's Mill, which are all cards that are on the chopping block first. So the deck is like so streamlined, so small, while also still playing all these power cards. Like, it was just insane. I was like, during the testing, I was like, this is literally just the most insane thing I've ever played. So
This is the set Wailord came out too, right? Just Journey together had Wailord too,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
But
Pretty
only
sure it
had
is, 'cause
eyes
I
for
remember
colorless.
pulling up to the boot camp with the Hydro Pump deck and I had a Wailord proxy.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Yeah.
It was
I don't know why I
good. It was
wouldn't have a
fine,
Wailord.
but like you had Parallel and Hex and Palpad and Versus Seeker and all this stuff to deal with it. Like, it didn't even matter. You had Cramorant to
Yeah.
do 180 damage. It's like,
Dude, when you have double colorless and twin and double turbo energy with Hop Snorlax, who could attack for just one of those, like, who the heck cares, bro?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
feel like Hop Snorlax without the debuff, dude. So you're just
Mm.
doing DCE, Choice Fan. Like,
yeah.
wow.
I think
It's just-
you could get up to what 230, I think, with powerful colorless and the Hop's Choice Band. So just shy of the Whale Lord, I think. But I mean, some people did play Postwick to hit over the Whale Lord.
Mhm.
But yeah, this deck, I mean, we was all about just go fast, go hard. Don't care what power cards your opponent is playing. Don't care if they're playing Lux Cape. Don't care if they're playing all those things. It's like, I have Field Blower, I have Lost Vacuum, I have Enhanced Hammer, I have Counter Catcher. I'm going to get around whatever you try to do to stop my game plan. There's just no chance. Just on paper, though, like, just listing all those cards is just insane. Like, the fact that this had access to all those things, could play with anything. Like, you could easily swap out 7-8 of these cards, keep almost the same like consistency with attacking, and put something new in. You could go HP tools if you want. You could go just heavier disruption, or whatever you wanted with this deck. It just was so flexible, so free. And yeah, probably the strongest deck I had ever played, obviously, to the 1K. And it was BDIF by far, dominated the meta in the room. More than double the next type. So there was 34 decks of colorless and only 16 of psychic, 16 of dragon. And I love looking back at this because fighting was the lowest played type at this event. 3 decks.
Two events before RDT came out.
Yeah, 2 events before RDT came out.
Yeah.
In a format where colorless was the most played type, fighting had no chance. Still, it was crazy. That's how bad fighting was.
I played a Hitmon spread deck at this event, and it didn't even feel close. Like, that's how broken the deck was. The type advantage, type disadvantage mattered 0%.
Yeah, it was just crazy. So, shout out this deck. I miss it every day.
So
That
and then of
bottom
course,
row, that bottom
of
right
course,
row of items.
this
Perfect.
deck ends up, kind of setting the stage for the double colorless twin band because you're looking at this deck and you're asking yourself like, okay, let's diagnose it, right? Because I knew going into this event, this is the first major Cash Gym Leader Challenge event back since Full Grip did its renovations, got its new tournament hall, right? The Journey Together one. So there hadn't been like a high stakes tournament in a little while, and that's why like this deck is kind of getting brewed up at a time um, where like all of a sudden there are stakes, right? So like there's high incentive to like to solve the format. And then like we kind of came to this conclusion that like, oh God, it's solved, but like, it's probably like not good for the game. um,
Yeah, for sure.
so we let it play out to see that our hypothesis was indeed correct. It was. The deck was the finals. It seemed extremely dominant next to everything else. But I think that the issue was that it had access to 3 double energies, right? And imagine if Dragobox had access to 3 double dragon energies, it'd probably be BDIF too. Like,
Yeah.
it'd be crazy.
Yeah.
And Beaverell, give Dragobox, Beaverell, Squovit, and 3 double dragons, and like
Yikes.
it's having a party, right?
Yeah.
Like, like you're gonna be chilling. So that's kind of like what you're dealing with here with this deck. And once I kind of identified it, I was like, okay, well, yeah, all 3 of those double energies are more. It's like kind of a cheat code for colorless, and really, when you look at Pokemon's design philosophy over the years, it's like 3 iterations of the same concept. And the fact that they haven't reprinted double colorless energy since the Sun and Moon block, Sword and Shield block saw twin energy first, and then later double turbo energy. It seems like that is kind of their formula for the double colorless energy now is double turbo energy. And I don't foresee them ever reprinting double colorless energy personally. That's my prediction, but who knows? Maybe they reset the power level of all the guys, at one point in standard and are like, we'll reprint DCE because like we made all the double colorless energy attacks suck. Haha,
Yeah.
maybe they'll do that. But anyways, I'm happy with the power level of the colorless deck now.
Yeah.
With just the 1 double turbo, it's still quite good,
Still very good.
just not as broken as it
Yeah.
used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm a big
I
fan.
wanted to ask you a question, Andrew. Do you think that this band in particular is the most pushback you ever got on any particular band?
True. Yeah, this one was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, this one I think is the most heat that I ever got, but I did feel pretty convicted that it needed to happen for the future of the format. So even though there were people mad, there are people mad about every band. I mean, to be honest, since Lysander's trump card, there were people being mad. So to be honest, it's like anytime a band gets announced, people are mad. So I just,
Just
you
roll
kind of
with
just
it.
roll with it. I have to just have some conviction and have some heart that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I do. I feel like I do know what I'm doing, and I know why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
People really, when we talk about bands, people really get short-sighted. There are a lot of people who play Gym Leader Challenge who have played less card games than me and who've played a lot less Pokemon than me in their lives and are really short-sighted and are like, oh, well, you're nerfing this deck, which has been my favorite deck for the last 6 months, and you've made it unplayable. Like, okay, this format I plan on lasting 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Yeah, like it's gonna last a long time, and that 6 months may be a very high impact time for you playing this format, and I feel for you, but like for the longevity of the format, there's gonna need to be like some seismic shifts that happen to keep it playable over those years.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my job.
Yeah.
And so the DC twin thing, that seemed to me like a kind of seismic move that had to happen in order to ensure that there would be good games happening
Yeah.
in the future. And yeah, I got a lot of flack for it, but like I think ultimately it's a band that's aged very well.
Yeah.
So,
And we're just talking about
Definitely.
like the penultimate moment for this deck being when Hops was released, but so colorless Turbo Colorless, as we mentioned at the beginning, was kind of BDF for months and months before that, just when Fan Rotom was printed and had Snorlax and the triple energies. I mean, for all that time, people were calling for Rotom to be banned, for Snorlax to be banned,
Yeah.
something to hit the deck. So, just to be able to wait until it got to this point, and then I think it was one of the very successful band because, like you said, Colorless still a very good deck. Dark's arguably still very good deck, but hit pretty hard. It was it made sense, and I'm very happy with where it exists now. So
Yeah, Colorless right now feels like just like an insanely fair deck. That is like it's fair, like inching towards good or like great.
Yeah.
Which I think is like the perfect spot for like any type to be in. Not feeling oppressive, which it was here, and not feeling so lackluster that you don't even want to play it.
Right.
So I think it was the right choice because I remember the discussion being Rotom energies. Like everybody seemed like everybody wanted the Rotom gone.
Yeah.
Over the energies.
Right, and now we have Soul Rock. So.
Right.
Yeah. Imagine if Rotom had 110 HP. That would be busted.
I wish it swung for 110.
Dude, that'd be sick.
Great.
It does with Muscle Band.
I knew somebody was gonna say that.
Anyways, I just have extremely fond memories of the deck. If it's up this high because I'm a little biased, but so be it. But I got the guys here backing it up as well, so it just is.
I originally had, I think, this in the Archeops deck flipped. Like this list further down, Archeops higher up. But then like the more we talked about it, I was like, you know what? Yeah, Archeops was a slow burn on the band. This was like a instantaneous.
Right. Like it was just insane.
So
Had to go.
so I gotta give it to you. Yeah. This deck was crazy. It was very good.
Yeah. Super fun. RIP. Moving on. Top 3 Gym Leader Challenge decks. Number 3, we've got Old Faithful, Old Reliable, Hydro Pump from July 2021 to the present, the longest lasting deck on our list. Never been out of style, okay? We've got the old Wailord on the left, the new Wailord on the right. All this deck does is just get small upgrades to keep it relevant, and it remains one of the best decks you could play at any time in the format, which is just so incredibly cool that we have a deck like that. Like Rillaboom Venusaur was that for a long time until it kind of got outclassed in the last few years, but Hydro Pump was able to maintain its strength thanks to some of these upgrades. Baxcalibur for Blastoise, Wailord for Wailord, the Sniping Kyogre getting added to the format. But, with 2 energy accelerators and the Inteleon line and the biggest guy in GLC, it's just a good strategy all around. So it's just the permanent GLC stable deck. I'm curious if in the next 5 years we'll see a world where Hydro Pump is not worth playing at all. Has 13 top 8 appearances at FGG events. I think the most of any archetype. It was the DRI Destined Rivals 3K champion Chucky Davis just a year ago in June of 2025. Only has the 1 win, but so many top 8s. Unrivaled longevity without ever getting a card banned. Very impressive. Very impressive. Yeah. Just solid.
I would argue that this deck has been probably 3rd place on the top 10 list since the format came out and will continue to be when we inevitably do the 10th anniversary top 10 list. It's going to be at number 3 again.
Permanently
talk about like the most consistently like good but not the absolute best, most broken deck. That's Hydro Pump. It's same concept, different cards. Gets like you said, gets a few new tools. That 13 full games set release top 8s. You see why on all our top 8 predictions we usually have a water there because it usually makes the top 8 because it's in the running every single time. So yeah.
It's just so insanely similar to any list that you would see being played now, just
Mhm.
minus card updates like swapping Blastoise for Excalibur and the Wailord for Wailord. But other than that, it's like the same exact strategy, um, just being played out over the course of 5 years, which is so cool to see. It's like feels like Pokemon at its most like fundamental. The card game at its most like fundamental. You got like your energy accelerator, you got your big guy you swing with, and you got like your combo setter and Inteleon.
Yep.
Every
Yeah.
deck wants to have all three of those things, and not every deck has even one of those things sometimes. So it's like,
I think the biggest change, like that wasn't a card for card swap in this list, was like probably like the Staryu and Starmie eventually becoming a superior energy retrieval in most decks, which has been like those cards have been released since the beginning of the format, so it's not like that option came out. But like other than that, like it's card for card stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Tony, because I do feel like this is like the ultimate gym leader challenge deck,
mhm,
and like encapsulates like so much of the fundamentals of like what makes the format cool and fun to play. Because one of the things that people really like about gym leader challenge is it feels like it is the essence of the Pokemon trading card game, like um, more kind of I guess idealistically expressed than it even is in standard, right? Like when you talk about like classic Pokemon TCG, like what does it feel like to play Pokemon cards? Like Gym Leader Challenge sometimes expresses that, I think, more without the rule box Pokemon, right? And as evidence of that, you've got Blastoise's ability, Baxcalibur's ability, was printed in base set. I mean, like the very first set of the Pokemon trading card game, there was a Rain Dance ability. The
mhm,
very first couple formats, there was a Rain Dance Blastoise deck where you're accelerating onto big basic Pokemon. Back then, it was Articuno from Fossil. There was a Lapras from Fossil as well. Now, 30 years later, you can still do that in Gym Leader Challenge format, and it's still a lot of fun to play. So, getting to kind of see that classic Pokemon TCG strategy live on in Gym Leader Challenge format as kind of like a permanent fixture is really cool. And
yeah,
for me, this is my favorite deck on the list by a lot. I think that Hydro Pump's my favorite deck. It's a deck that I've always like kind of identified with. I've loved tooling with for a long time, and it's a deck that I really like to see succeed. I was really stoked when Chucky won the Destined Rivals 3K with it. I mean, it was a huge accomplishment taking that deck all the way. Trevor Redding and Mike Gibbs have also done a lot of iterating on this deck in the last like year or so. They had really made some kind of big um, innovations with the deck, and that they started including like a third item based energy search card.
Yep.
So like the Capacious Bucket, the Professor's Letter, and the Earthen Vessel.
mm,
Having all three of those making the deck just a little bit speedier, a little bit more explosive than it had been in previous iterations. Like I really like their development on it. And then Kevin Baxter recently top aiding with it at the latest 3K with his list that didn't play the Basculin.
Yeah.
So as another pretty interesting innovation on the deck. I think that there's still a lot of room to explore with it. And you kind of have those classic pieces, the Intellion and the Octillery. Every type wishes they had those.
Yeah.
Every single type wishes they had those. Like, and they don't. Water has them.
Yeah.
And that's what allows Water to set up the rain dance strategy so consistently. And they'll always have those pieces. The rain dance stuff is always going to be around, and Wailord's always going to be fat. So like
Yep.
you're always gonna have a winner on your hands with Hydro Pump.
Yeah. I love that you have to like it. It's so rewarding. Like Wailord's obviously crazy, not ban worthy, but it feels so rewarding to work so hard to power up your big guy and like win games that way. It just feels so honest. It feels like you earn every win you get. You're not doing, some of the more like broken strategies that like a lot of like psychic or fighting might be trying to pull off, but you're just like, I'm gonna do Old Faithful. I'm gonna work hard, set up all my evolutions, It's like a relic from the past, basically, in the modern format. But it's still good enough to stick around. Thank God that they keep printing Whale Lords that are worth playing, to be honest. And there's a lot of big whale Pokemon that have yet to be made into a good GLC card that we could eventually see get added to the pool. Like Dondozo is just waiting for that moment. Dondozo's another big basic whale similar to Wishy Washy that has so much potential for GLC. So I'm just waiting for them to print like a good Dondozo, toss
Mhm.
that in here, and the deck just gets that much better. So yeah, I think it's a super fun deck. Water's always been my favorite type as well. No longer my favorite deck since I won with the colorless deck. That's where my specific favorite deck lies. But this is the deck that got me into GLC. I lived in California at the time when the format was created, and you were streaming with Jesse Parker on tabletop. And then Jesse got top 8 at the very first 1K event with the Whale Lord deck. And it was the first deck I built in Gym Leader Challenge. So just as many fond memories, more so, even more quantity of fond memories than the colorless deck do I have with the water deck. Blastoise has always been my favorite Pokemon as well. Unfortunately, don't get to play that guy anymore. But it was just like, of course, I'm gonna jump into this format. Get to play one of my favorite Pokemon, and it was just such a breath of fresh air during COVID time where I was like new to the game. Like I had started playing end of 2019, never got to go to an event because COVID happened 3 months after I started playing. And so my life was just playing PTCGO, watching Andrew stream every day. And yeah, it's just like, I mean, look where we are today. I've moved to Ohio. I'm hosting a Gym Leader Challenge podcast. And it all started with the Water Whale Lord deck back all those years ago. So it's just been an incredible last few years. I mean, yeah, my life without GLC would be incredibly different. Like, not gonna lie, I don't even know if I'd live in Ohio. So it's just that's how big of an impact Pokemon Gym Leader Challenge, Tricky Gym, Full Group Games has had over the course of my life. So kind of crazy. Very deserving of a top 3 spot just for the legacy it has and how much it means to the community, to the players, and just continues to stick around. So good deck.
Love Hydro Pump.
Shout out Hydro Pump, top 3. Couldn't have been 1 or 2 though, because like we said, it's permanently in that A tier spot. Number 2 though, we're down to the top 2. Okay, just 2 left, and our number 2 deck of all time is Natu Blindside. Again, a more recent development in the meta, but has made such a huge impact over the last 7-8 months that it had to be in the top 10 list, and it's just a matter of how high. And it worked its way all the way up to the number 2 spot, which is crazy. Delta Trait Natu, which was printed back in the XY block, being the poster child of our number 2 deck of all time, combined with the Technical Machine Blindside and a slew of support Pokemon, Munkidori, Giratina, Gallade, Xatu, Malamar, all these things. When Natu takes a knockout, it gets to take multiple prizes. That's why you have the Blindside in there. You can use the Blindside attack to take multiple prizes, and then cheat extra prizes with the Munkidori or the Blacephalon or anything like that. Along with just the incredible card pool that Psychic has been so dominant. It is a 3-time Full Grip Games set release champion. The last 3 that have happened: Phantasmal Flames, Hector Ibarra in November, Winter Rusev, Perfect Order in March, and then Wyatt York just 2 months ago in May, taking home the 3rd one with a banned card in between. Okay, Dimension Valley was banned between the Perfect Order and the Chaos Rising 3K. Doesn't matter. made it right back to the finals and won once again. Um, I mean, no other deck has won as many events as this one. It just keeps winning, and at some point we got to ask how many more it will win. We don't know. We're in the middle of its streak right now. It might win a fourth in a row. It's crazy. 6 times top 8s in the past 3 events as well. I don't know. It's just so incredibly powerful. Obviously, what makes this deserving of number 2 of all time in this short of a time frame?
I
Pure
mean,
and utter
Dimension
dominance.
Valley.
The three-peat.
The 3P.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
the unprecedented three-peat would do it.
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly the word I was going to use for it. It's unprecedented. No deck has. I mean, granted, we've the live cat tournaments have been on and off, and aren't like a constant, but something winning 3, like what you essentially would call majors in a row, is, I mean, you gotta respect it. Like it can't possibly be outside. You could maybe in my head argue it with the 3 spot, but like can't go any lower than that. I feel it's just unprecedented dominance.
Yeah, I mean, Dimension Valley was sort of living somewhat in peace and harmony with the psychic type until not to started. I'd say enter the card pool, but it had been there since the ancient traits were unbanned from the format. And so this card kind of comes along and forces another card out. I'm just curious, Andrew, where was your kind of mindset on where Dimension Valley was sitting, like pre not to being played in decks, and kind of pushing Psychic over the edge?
Yeah, well, Psychic already has, I think, the strongest card pool in all of Gym Leader Challenge right now, and that is hard to deal with because, from a balance standpoint, like you don't just ban cards until every card pool is on the same power level as the worst card pool. Imagine if I went through and trimmed out all the best cards from every single type until every single type was playing on the same power level as Fire or Fairy. Like that would not be fun to do. So, you're kind of looking at things and saying like, okay, well, is there anything that's maybe playing unfair against the spirit of kind of like what Gym Leader Challenge is going for, things that are non-interactive, non-fun. And Dimension Valley is like one of those cards that cheats an energy attachment, can snowball games very quickly, and is cards are being designed without that option in mind. Like Iron Boulder and stuff, being able to launch Iron Boulders out of nowhere. Just yeah, it is a card that kind of just was an easy one to let go of. It's an older card. It does enhance Psychic's card pool in a way that they don't have to actually develop a board. They can just accelerate energy with the stadium and launch powerful attacks. So that card going was like step 1, right? And then you continue to diagnose, right? Like, okay, well, what's going on? Is there anything else unfair going on that's kind of like against the spirit of the format or the game? That's kind of what we did with the colorless deck over the course of like a couple years, right? It was like first it was Research Lab, then it was the Twin Energies. Now it's in a good spot, right? So for Psychic, it's like, okay, first it's the Dimension Valley. Now we're kind of looking like, is there anything else here that's going on that's kind of like below the belt? That's what we're kind of talking about as a community. This has been a big point of discussion for the last like year, right? And there's a lot of really strong feelings on it. I mean, and this is the kind of thing where it's like you've got people who know, like, there is no getting everybody to agree on this. There's no getting. There's going to be people who are huge fans of it. There's going to be people who hate it. There's people who think I should ban not to. There's people, there's people who just think I should ban not to. There's people who would hate it if I did that.
Yeah.
To me, banning not to feels kind of like cringe because the other card pools have like that,
Yeah.
right? And so you're saying like, oh, I'm only banning it from Psychic because it's like because Psychic's are
Psychic's good.
really strong card pool.
Right.
It's not broken over here. Like, what the heck is going on? So so to me that's like kind of problematic, is like only trimming it's not clean. I don't like it. I don't like banning for balance. I like to me it's like, is it problematic with like the concept of the format as a whole, not like is it problematic with the balance of the format right now, because that's a very short-sighted way to look at it. So it's an extremely dominant deck. Is very powerful, very consistent. You've got all the energy accelerators that you could possibly want. You've got your big basic beat stick with Iron Boulder. You've got your spread, package. Monkey Dory is one of the most dominant cards that a standard format has ever seen. Obviously, it fits in right here very well. Also, it's a cracked deck. You got all the best cards in the Psychic card pool. I mean, you've even got some insane cards in the Psychic card pool that don't make their way into this deck because there's just too many good purple cards, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of that situation where it's like it's hard because like the game designers just love the purple cards. That's kind of what we keep seeing over and over again, as evidenced by things like telepathic psychic energy. Okay, just
for them
right on.
Yeah.
Like cards that other types would kill for. It's a really good deck. We're in the process of kind of like seeing, is it really good fair, or is it really good unfair?
Yeah.
That is for everybody to help us decide.
That's right. We're looking at it.
Active conversation, active kind of GLC history we're witnessing right now.
That's right. Yeah. What I really like about our top 3 decks on our list, and we haven't gotten to number 1 yet, but they're very much entire packages of decks. Like a lot of the other decks on our list very much focus on one poster Pokemon like Guzzlord or Amazing Raikou or Amazing Kyogre, these things that, are like ban worthy just because of how broken the one guy is. But, the Hydro Pump deck, this deck, and our number 1 deck are very much like, it's because of the deck as a whole that they are deserving of these spots. Like, we call this the Not Too Blindside deck, but really it's just a testament to how broken Psychic is. Like, there's so many games played where you're not even using the blindside mechanic to win games. This deck just has every option available to it. It can deal with pretty much everything that someone would want to throw at you, from your attackers to your support Pokemon. It's just got all the resources possible to just be a dominant deck, and that's why it's so hard to kind of pick what would be deserving of a ban, why it took so long for Dimension Valley to even get banned, because it's, as we've constantly mentioned, it's just never just one thing pushing it over the edge. So I'm also so intrigued that it took kind of so long for the Not Too Blindside combo to really take off. Hector kind of being the one to put it on the map in a mainstream meta way in November. But the combo has existed for a long time prior to that, obviously, when TM Blindside was released. And I do want to shout out one of those early builds from Jamie Tucker. Obviously has...
I was going to shout out Jamie if you didn't. Yeah.
Just one of those like early builds. Obviously incredibly looks different than what we're at now, but you even see the Let Loose Marshadow in there. But when TM Blindside was released, he was cooking with the Natu Devolution Spray Blindside back in 2023. So this was 2 years prior to the 3K win that Hector had. And it took that big win for us to be like, well, like mass acceptance of the strategy. But before that, it was kind of just anecdotal. Jamie in the Discord going like, this deck is really good. This deck is really good. And I don't think anyone at Full Grip ever actually tried it.
Yeah, shout out
Yeah,
Jamie. Jamie's
I
a
remember.
cool judge. Been playing GLC, supporting GLC for a long time. Judge, tournament organizer from Florida, and oh yeah, he's been preaching the good word of not too blindside for years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the mentality like at Full Grip around that time, like knew about the deck, weren't playing it. They're just like, oh, like that's kind of like a cute combo, but like just to like kind of overlooking how like truly dominant this could be. Obviously, it's
That's
got a few more tools since then to enable it, with the patch and that sort of thing. But I mean that deck had Zatu and everything too, so I
Yeah.
think it's
yeah.
crazy.
That's like what I wanted to say about it is that it always seemed like a gimmick deck, like when people would bring it up, um, but until it actually like won the event. Like there was the idea behind it was like really solid, but it kind of just seemed like something maybe a little too far fetched. Like, am I really gonna devolve one of my best energy accelerators to pull off this combo that I might not even hit? Turns out the answer is yeah. Like it's that good. You're gonna build your whole deck around trying to do that every single game.
Yeah. I got top 8 at the event that Hector won with no sauce, which became known as no sauce psychic after this. It was just Gallade, Zatu, Malamar, and like the good basic attackers. No Monkey Dory, no Giratina, no Blacephalon, things like that. I was just like, I'm going to play the most consistent psychic deck, do well. And I did do well. I got to top 8. I played Hector in top 8. And I played my psychic deck because I'm like, just gonna be more consistent than the cute psychic decks, right? And I'll be able to win off of that. We played a best of 3, and he 2-0'd me like cleaner than I've like ever been 2-0'd in GLC. I could not believe like how smooth his deck ran, how consistently he was doing all these combos, and I was just like, as I was sitting there, I just feel like I had such a vivid moment of like, I just like I don't feel like my deck has ever been this outclassed, in
Yeah,
GLC.
our
So
deck was a little too fair that tournament for sure.
yeah, so I got to experience it firsthand, just kind of the realization, like, wow, this deck is actually real. I did not believe it until I had it, like, just did it to me. And then from there, as we've seen, it's just been so dominant, winning 3-3Ks in a row. No deck has ever won 2 in a row. No other archetype has ever won. I mean, yeah, no other archetype has ever won 2 of our release events, let alone 2 in a row, let alone 3 in a row. So it's crazy. When Yeah, I'm very interested to see if it wins a 4th because it has the potential. People just need to pick it. I think a lot of people are kind of playing with the idea of doing other psychic things, doing Deoxys, doing no Iron Boulder, fun things like that. So I would recommend just playing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest. So I would love to see it win a 4th. I think it would be really cool.
You would, bro? Make my life harder, bro.
I honestly would. I honestly would.
Making my life real
I think it would be
hard.
amazing. No,
The
I
rap
think it
sheet
makes your
continues
life
to grow
easier.
for not to.
I think it makes your life easier. You don't have to dwell on it anymore. You can just make the decision.
True. Like, what if it just kind of won every other one from here on out? Then it's like, well, it's kind of
Yeah,
broken.
that would
Like,
that would
that'd be
like get
tougher than it
second.
just winning another one or two.
It gets second place at the one it doesn't win, and then it does win, and then
I do gotta say, I mean, like Brooke getting second place with the Deoxys, it looked, almost as good, if not equally as good as the Blindside deck. So now you have a deck that's, we're toying with the idea of potentially Natu needing a ban, but this other psychic build, not even using Natu, is right up there with it. So it's like, does not like did it even correct to ban Natu? Because it's kind of just, you're just now it's just the same power level exists in psychic. You're just removing a little bit of diversity. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man.
It feels like it's at a weird spot where like anything you do to the deck is like just banning like a power card because it's too strong.
You need to hit like we can
know.
talk about it off camera.
Like I said,
I just know he was going to say strange
no,
timepiece.
winning a 4th event in a row makes my life harder. You insisted it would be easier. I am doubling down harder.
All right. Let's just do a major chop. Let's hit Monkey Dory, Giratina, and Natu. Get them all out of there.
Those are balance. Those are
Yeah.
balance bands, dude. Maybe you just want to make every type as the same power level as fire. Sure, let's do it, dude.
No, I actually don't. When my example to bring
Yeah.
up the Deoxys is very much like, yeah, I don't even know. I don't envy you. I don't know what you would do because it's definitely not the answer to hit, a bunch of psychic pieces all at once. So therefore, it's like, what's the point of hitting any? That's the hard question. So, yeah.
Right, make it easier in deciding that something has to go, not what the something that has to go is.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Well, we can look forward to maybe good cards getting printed, like, I don't know, next January, depending on what they reveal. Because what's coming up this fall does not look very promising.
Executor, bruh.
I forgot about Executor. Chestnut.
Later.
400.
Speaking of
Wait,
Chestnut, our number
500
one
hit
deck.
points.
Could not mention.
Please, no Hex Maniac, please.
Anyways, yeah, props to Hector for just putting the deck on the map, and then everyone else for carrying the flame to so many victories. It's a very cool deck. All right, guys, we've made it. It's
There
been
we
a
go.
long journey. We are at the number one deck of all time in Gym Leader Challenge. Perhaps to no one's surprise, we've got Colorless Control from the early days, July 2021 to June 2022, when the major ban happened. But okay, we've got the initial edition of Colorless Control on the left, the face being Oranguru Resource Management. Oranguru was banned at the same moment the ancient traits were allowed back in, so then it became Bunnelby as the face, managing those resources, supported by a great cast of characters, including this Delcatty Search for Friends, which says when you evolve it, you can put 2 supporter cards from your discard pile into your hand, which that's an ace spec effect right there. And then you have things like the old Ditto, allowing you to put a Pokemon on it with the amount of time it's been in play, so you can Delcatty back-to-back turns with Scoop of Net after putting Scoop of Net and Versus Seeker or whatever back in your deck with Bunnelby. It's just, had everything. Resource management. I read the blog post from your ban earlier today, and you said something like, probably resource management Oranguru is probably the stupidest, most broken card ever printed of all time, or something like that.
I mean, it's definitely not wrong.
Yeah.
Definitely not very far off.
Well, it's right up there with Lysander's trump card. Like anything that just undoes the resource management in the Pokemon TCG. It's funny that it's called resource management, bro, because you're not resource management with that.
No.
Yeah.
I'm shuffling back the most dishonest cards you could ever imagine from my discard pile.
If you don't know about Oranguru, it's first attack for a single colorless energy, resource management. Put 3 cards from your discard pile on the bottom of your deck in any order. The idea being you're at the bottom of your deck already. You can draw those cards that you just put back with Cinccino and Pidgeotto, and do whatever you want to your opponent for as long as you want. And it was just crazy. It had 4 full group game set release events, top 4, obviously probably the most stacked name list in the whole history of GLC. We've got 3rd place Caleb Gedimer, 2nd place Azul Garcia Griego, 4th place Grant Manley, and then wrapping it up with a 1st place from Grant Manley at the Astral Radiance 2.5K event in 2022. It is solely responsible for the most banned cards from a single archetype in GLC history, being Oranguru from Ultra Prism, Hiker from Cosmic Eclipse, and Chip Chip Ice Axe from Unbroken Bonds. You had to hit a bunch of cards to bring this deck down. I wasn't around in those early days, Andrew. Like, what was the vibe on the ground, and how did you come to the decision to hit it so hard?
So this was fun. I mean, it was really fun, right? Because it was almost like a challenge. these set release tournaments that we had started doing were we kind of preceded the return of organized play from Pokemon. We came back a little earlier than regional championships did. So we started hosting these cash events, and there was high incentive for players to make trips out to play in them because it kind of gave players an opportunity to dust off their skills and participate in a cash tournament setting, something that they hadn't been able to do for like maybe a year and a half, right, because of COVID. So it gave players an opportunity to travel out and play in standard and GLC. So like, your players like Azul, Grant, Caleb, were traveling out and playing in the standard and the GLC events. And Grant is a huge control aficionado, loves control decks, absolutely loves them. And he had always maintained to me that control is the BDIF, and in your format you made, control is the best deck. And I was like, well, prove it. It was kind of like a challenge to him, like, prove it then, because I don't know how to build it. Like, prove it. Come up to the show me that it's the best deck in format, right? And he and Azul and Caleb show up to the first one, and it doesn't win, right? But they have a good showing, and Grass like barely wins. And then Grant is still doubling down. He's like, it's still B-Day. I'm like, maybe it's just good, maybe, and he's like, no, it's like, it's totally unfair. It's completely broken. And then like Grant shows up to the next one and wins the standard and the GLC cash event. He wins with Mew VMAX and then wins with colorless control back-to-back nights, and like put on a master class of like how to play this control deck, and absolutely dominated. I mean, and it was really cool getting to watch him just like go through the process of brewing up this like broken deck, loving playing it. He knew his lines like nobody's business. The most confident resource managements you've ever seen in your life, the most confidence, and the concept of the deck, I mean, it's just completely toxic, right? You were using Lieutenant Surge's strategy, and which allows you to place 3 supporters in your turn. And every single turn, and I like didn't believe it when he told me this, but like every single turn, you can use Lieutenant Surge's strategy, you can Hex Maniac, and you can Velelva and Bryson Man every turn, back to back to back, over and over and over and over again. So you're at the bottom of your deck, and you have inevitably removed some energy and like stalled something active, right? So be it like a Rillaboom, a Venusaur, some Pokemon that your opponent, Octillery, whatever, you've eventually your opponent gets down to like a couple of prizes. You've disrupted their hand with like a reset stamp. Use Lieutenant Surge, boss something up, or counter catcher something up, Hex Maniac, right? Just stick it, right?
Mhm.
And then once you stick the thing, then you start looping like the Hex Belelba, like, and you could just do that. And not only are you using Hex Belelba, you also are weaving in the Chip Ice X or like the Hiker every single turn. So every single turn you're using Hex, you are stacking their deck, and you're milling, and you're like milling. Like it's insane. So like you're either stacking the deck or you're milling. It's one of the two,
Yeah.
right? Because you don't like at a certain point you just start turbo milling because you're like far enough down or whatever, right? But it was incredible to get to watch. So
Yeah, those
it's just the most broken deck that I've ever seen in Gym Leader Challenge. I felt like Grant like made it his mission to solve the format from like a blank slate, right? Like no banned cards outside of like Lysander's trump card maybe. And like he made it his mission to solve the format, and he did,
Yep.
and it was sick.
So
those
after watching that deck perform that well, you said you kind of was like, okay, I challenge Grant to, build the deck, show me that it's broken and stuff. Did you know like where to target the ban, or were you like, all right, like what do you think is the card that's breaking? Did you ask Grant, say, okay, what is the card that's like breaking this deck right now?
I did not listen to Grant because Grant told me that Hex Maniac would never be balanced in the format, and I fundamentally disagreed with him. He told me that you have to ban Hex. He's like, I will break the format so long as Hex is there. And I was like, I
Mhm.
disagree. And
Interesting.
I kept Hex, but I hit the hand control cards, the
Yeah.
Hiker and the Chip Chip Isaacs, because that to me was like the toxic thing that was occurring. Because like he was trapping things and then like making sure that his opponent was only ever drawing dead cards like the whole way,
Yeah.
right? And then like you're controlling, like, I mean, your opponent has no play. You're controlling exactly what they're drawing. You know it's exactly what's in their hand. So, and then anytime that they are like going to draw like a live card, you could like chip Isaacs it away
You
or
could
whatever.
Belelba it away.
You could Belelba it away.
Or no, you
chip it away.
could delinquent to discard it from
You
their
could
hand.
delinquent. Yeah, it was nuts, dude. It was nuts. Like his opponents had no chance.
Yeah.
Absolutely zero chance. It's the
My
most
God, I
broken thing I've ever seen. So the
can't
hand control
imagine a
stuff is the stuff
format
that
without
works.
hex.
I know.
Yeah.
There are your hex haters out there. There are people. Isaiah Chevelle's
I'm
another
one of them, but it's necessary.
Isaiah Chevelle thinks it should be banned. Grant Manley thinks it should be banned. There are some top caliber players who like do not like that card in the format. But I love that card in the format. And then you see cards like Executor get printed, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, I can't. It just feels like a 1-card comeback package in any deck that you want to play.
Well, it's almost future proof in a way, right? Because if they print
card
like
will
broken
keep
abilities,
getting
it's the ultimate
better.
equalizer,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so it is the ultimate equalizer. I mean, sure, I guess you could always say like, what if there's like, the canceling cologne? I guess, right? But like, man, not canceling cologne, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Nah, it's obviously a crazy deck, deserving of the #1 spot. The most insane deck, the best Pokemon's best minds cracking it. Got to shout out Chip Ritchie as well. I was watching back one of the matches. He was your co-commentator back in the day, but he was saying during the commentation, he was working on the deck with Grant as well. So, yeah. So shout out Chip for participating in the cracking of the code. Yeah, I mean, very impressive. Obviously, I would love if take us back to participate back in that time where we had the top players in the world coming out to Full Grip to work on this format. That's such a cool and unique stage of the game that unlikely we'll ever get there again until Pokemon makes it a SPE in the off season. So look forward to that. That would be really rad. But yeah, I mean, to no one's surprise, probably I saw it mentioned in the comments. Colorless Control taking home that top spot. We were like, are we really putting Colorless Control at #1? Like, is that too obvious? But it's like, what could you really put over it? It's iconic for the names behind it, for watching it go down at those events. And again, like how many cards it got banned on its own. So, and still really good. It got 2 top 8 placements. Colorless as a control archetype got 2 top 8 placements in the more recent era of top 8s. At the Destined Rivals 3K, there were 2 Ursaluna control decks in top 8 that arguably should have won the event too. It was an incredibly close finals. Chucky just pulling it out with, by the skin of his teeth with his water deck. So, I mean, I'd like to see what Grant could do now.
Yeah. Something that I like about these bans specifically is that you target the things that make the control deck like uninteractive. And when you're talking about control decks in Pokemon, it's kind of hard because it's almost the control deck job to make your life as uninteractive as possible. They want you to do as little things. But by not banning things like Bunnelby and Delcatty, you still leave stuff open for control to not be a dead archetype within the colorless card pool, which is what I really like. And people will find a way to play it. Like Ben just said, it's still a very potent control archetype.
Yeah. And Lost City exists, all right? That's like arguably one of the most important cards in a singleton card pool, because if, control's abusing the Bunnelby or abusing the Ursaluna, like there are strategies for you to make choices in your deck list to have a more favorable matchup into them. So, one of the benefits of being a singleton format is that. So I really like where Control is now. It has a lot of good archetypes across several different types, but none feel unfair to the point where anything needs to get touched. So, I'm glad you didn't listen to Grant. Yeah, so. What else can we say about the Kylos deck? Are we going to wrap up our top 10 list, y'all?
I think so.
I think we did it.
Been a long episode. Here it is, the final top 10 GLC decks of all time, according to the Gym Leader Chat Lounge podcast, featuring Andrew Mahone, Tricky Jim. Of course, like I said, the objective correct list. We could do a little bit of an honorable mentions shout out, because this is what we kind of had a consensus on, but we did have some other ideas.
Any
being thrown
snubs,
out.
dude? Any snubs?
Yeah.
Who got snubbed?
Yeah. I know of one. Drago Box, all right. I proposed it being in that 10 slot over Raising Raikou. I was shot down, okay? So it had a big impact on the meta. Raging Bolt changed the way decks are built because you better own a 70 HP basic. And it was just an incredibly popular type for a long time. So, and multiple top 8 appearances as well. It's right there. Any other shout outs, disagreements?
Shout out to the deck that hardly got to see the light of day, the Dust Called Donk deck that really showed up in the no bans tournament that we did. Really just an oppressive deck that went for the turn 1 going first board wipe, enabled by the Dust Skull that allows you to evolve it on the first turn. You could do that over and over again. Thank goodness we really didn't get to see that much at all, because I think that it had some time, could have found its way into maybe a 10th spot or something like that.
Top 1 most uninteractive deck of all time. Right
Indeed.
there.
Yeah, for sure. I want to also shout out it's hard to pinpoint like a single deck, but just the many psychic archetypes that have not the many psychic archetypes, the Gallade decks that have just constantly been at the top of the meta for ever since that card came out. Nothing, nearly as oppressive as the decks we have on the list here, but just like always like the clawing for the top spot of the meta.
Yeah.
I'll shout out Eggmill. If you're watching this and you think Eggmill is BDIF and you think Eggmill got snubbed, I challenge you, prove it. Please come to one of my events and win it. Please prove to me that deck has what it takes to win.
Just needs more. It needs a couple more accolades, and it could be on the list 5 years from now easily.
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
I wish. My favorite psychic deck was the Garbodor deck we all played. That was so fun, and I just barely lost out to RDT that event, and then promptly exited the meta.
Yeah, that was the worst best deck of all time.
Yeah, for real.
Yo, it's got a second place. Chill, bro.
My bad.
Yeah, that was just a fun one though. Anyways,
we created a psychic deck that loses to RDT.
Yeah, let us know in the comments what your list would be, what we had wrong, where you'd move things around. But I'm pretty happy with where we ended up. So thank you for sticking with us through all that. Quickly, gonna shout out the past week at Full Grip Games. Got to give Fran her flowers, getting her second badge of the season with Barbiyama, tossed a Tinglu in there. Went 4-1. There was a 4-1 off. 5 players at 4-1. Fran ended up winning on Resistance. Another day without Alex Carpenter getting a 7th badge is a good day. So we are still in the run. Tony's still there. We've got, I think, 4 weeks left in the season.
I'm trying so hard, dude.
I'm
trying so hard.
It's going to be close. Here's a quick look at Fran's deck for those of you who are interested. And finally, going to shout out our new channel members. We're up to 8 channel members. Let's go. Craig, Cav, and Tanner Weiser. Thank you guys so much for becoming members of the channel. So Appreciate you guys. And then that'll just about do it. Andrew, thank you so much for being on one of our longest episodes ever. Really appreciate you for sticking around, staying up, chatting, sharing your knowledge for the top 10 list. Couldn't have done it without you. Thank you very much.
Of course. Happy to do it. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And yeah, any last words from you, Tony, before John sends us out?
I think I'm good. Play us out, John.
All right. Thanks for listening, y'all. It's been a great 5 years. We will GL see ya in another 5.